Hello and welcome to Bergkamp Wonderland, an Arsenal podcast. With me tonight is Lord Hillwood from sunny Poland. You all right, Steve?
Yeah, I'm fine. Not so fucking sunny, but it's been 21 degrees on the 30th of October. How's about that then?
Bloody hell, it's actually minus 0.1 last night. Oh, I hate the cold. It's terrible. It's not good. Right, next up we've got Ellis in the home of the six-fingered freak. It's Norwich.
Hello. Well, I haven't been in Norwich for the last week. I was down in Dorset for a week for half time with my girlfriend and the two girls glamping, so that was nice.
Oh, do you have sparkly wellies?
No, I don't. I wish I did there. It'd be very nice.
Oh dear, you want to see my bloke on Forza Horizon 4? Sparkly wellies, a green top hat, and a sparkly unicorn t-shirt. And a sparkly hot pants, and gives it. And my celebration is jazz hands, but people don't care about that, do they, Geoff?
Daniel, no. How the devil are you, sir?
Apart from my tummy shame, I'm very good, and we're running a little bit late because my body doesn't like cheese.
I was thinking about you today because I do always think about you, especially when it gets cold. Dan, what you got to do is your wheelchair.
Yeah.
Got a little bit of air out your tyres because obviously then you've got a little bit more grip. Yeah.
But then
when you go around the corner,
that's the same as if I'm stuck in the desert. Let a little bit of air out, better grip. I've seen it on top. Where have you been anywhere nice recently, Geoff, that you can divulge?
We went to Turkey, didn't we? Last week for 5 days. It was absolutely beautiful. First 3 days was 26, 27. Last 2 days was a little bit cloudy, but you know what? It was lovely. I don't know whether anyone you've been there. It's lovely. What a lovely place. I've been there a few times.
I last went abroad to the Champions League final in 2006, and the time before that I went to Amsterdam in 1994, and that's it for the last 30 years.
I suppose you was window shopping. Weren't you in Amsterdam, Dan?
I was eating lots of cake, and it was having no effect on me, sadly. Yeah, so I didn't really sleep much. Nice place, very windy, very wet, but it was November. Anyway, we should get on with this. We'll start off with you, Steve. Your thoughts on the Sporting Lisbon game? We went there, we beat them 1-0, and tell us you were saying they were a half decent team, and that run that they were on. Tell the wonderful listener about that run.
This was always going to be a difficult game because this is a team who are top fucking cheats for starters, as any Celtic fan will tell you. But they've not been. I don't think they were. I think they've been beaten at home twice in 2 years, and the last one who beat them before Arsenal beat them was Barcelona. So they hadn't lost at home. I think for nearly 36 or 37 games. So going there was always going to be a highly tactical game. And I remember on the Polish TV coverage they actually had. Polish football expert who's actually a Polish geezer who lives in Warsaw, and he's the correspondent for one of the national newspapers out there, and he was saying that they'd deliberately chosen a very conservative, defence-minded team in the hope of hitting Arsenal on the break. And I think probably our sort of starting lineup probably threw them a bit. I don't expected to see Xhaka at left back for starters. El Neni started. He was diabolical as well. Welbeck started up front. We had quite a few chances in that game, but Leno as well was quite busy as well. I think he blocked about 7 or 8 shots during the whole game. It kept us in the game at a couple of points. There was a lot of leaving the foot in, particularly by Nani, who seemed to think he was still at Old Trafford with his referee's exemption card going on now, constantly being a prick and a massive cunt, only to be matched up by his teammate Sebastian Coates, who is a former Scouse bastard of the wall-pushing variety, and he left a few dirty fouls in as well, but we had really good possession. I mean, it was very hard to make anything with that ball. We had chances, we didn't finish them. The one chance we did have, which Welbeck scored from, was when the ball came to Aubameyang and he did a sort of a back heel and it went in behind the centre half of Coates and he stumbled and Welbeck was away with it. But it was a brilliant finish. I mean, he still had a lot to do with it. And we had 68, 65, 8% of the possession. 15 to 14 to Sporting on shots, 7 shots on target for us. So, it was a very hard game to win, but given how technically well prepared they are and how solid they are at home, I think it was a brilliant victory. I think it took a lot of energy out of the team, and I think also as well we flew there on the Wednesday and we flew straight back on the Thursday night to get ready for the game at the Twats in Surrey, Palace. So for me, it was a game which was not intensely exciting. It was a game which was very technical and very stop, start, foul, cheat, dive, because there was a lot of that going on by the Portuguese. But we won it and we came away with the 3 points and more or less secured qualification to the next level of the Europa League. So good stuff, really.
It was indeed. Geoff, you didn't see the game, did you?
Yeah, I did indeed. Yeah.
Oh, go on then. What was your thoughts on it?
Yeah, what? I thought it was a really, really professional performance by Arsenal. Like Steve said, we had a few players out there that hadn't played previously, like the weekend before, and I just think they was really, really professional. Kept the ball, and we just controlled the game. I think from start to finish. I think we could have scored more goals. But a 1-0 win away from home in Europe. I mean, it's the first win in Portugal, I understand, which really surprised me. I thought we'd won in Portugal before somewhere else. Played a few teams over the years, but I think it was a really, really good performance. I think they've done well, the boys, and it was great to get out of it with the 3 points, unscathed, so to speak. And we live to fight another day, don't we? And I know it's not the Sporting team of the past few years. And you've got to remember, Sporting, they're regulars in the Champions League. I know they're not the same team as what they were last year. I think they've had a lot of players, and I think the manager's gone from last year. So it was a good performance, and it was a good win. So I was really delighted with it at the end of the day.
Jolly good. Ellis, was it you that said you hadn't seen the game, just like me?
No, I hadn't seen it. I read sort of the report because obviously where I was glamping, I didn't have much signal to watch it. But I think, regardless of whether I saw it or not, a 1-0 away result at Portugal, which is something Arsenal haven't managed to do, I don't think ever. I think we've drawn 3 and lost 3. I think I can remember that stat from reading before the match. So it's good to go out there. And again, that puts us top of the group, really, doesn't it? I think we're top with 3. Sporting have lost 1 game, so they're on top of 9 points after 3 wins. Sporting have lost the 1 game, so they're on 6 points, and then the other 2 teams are just below them. So it puts us in a good position, really, and obviously that added to our run that was 11 straight wins, which we haven't done since 2007, possibly. Whenever, a long time ago. Obviously, we'll come on to when that run ends in a bit, but regardless, it's just good to go out there. A lot of changes were made, which I imagine will be true. But again, Xhaka at left back, it was a bit of a surprise to see that. But I thought he's fared well when he's been put out there. I thought it'd be a lot worse, let's put it that way. And again, sort of chopping and changing. And I could say probably Holden as well. He seems so far out of the 3 centre-backs we've got that are supposedly fit, he's the one that's not chopping and changing. He played the full 90 minutes for Sporting Lisbon, and then he also played against Crystal Palace in the following game. And whereas I would have thought probably Socrates and Mustafi would have been the main pair, but it seems like Holden might be the main guy that Emery likes to keep in the starting 11.
Yeah, I've got a little database. It won't surprise you of every Arsenal. I've done it myself. Every Arsenal game in Europe, and I was surprised about what Steve and Geoff were saying. But yeah, we played FC Porto in the Champions League in 08-09, lost 2-0 away, 4-0 at home. We won, and then we played Porto again the next year in the Champions League. We lost 2-1 away, beaten 5-0 at home, and then the one I do remember is Sporting Braga. We lost 2-0 at their place and we beat them 6-0 at home. But I think when we lost 2-0 at their place, didn't they have a stadium where it only had 3 sides? Wasn't one of them like a giant mountain?
Yeah, maybe. You know what, though? A lot of them games were like the last game of the group stages and stuff like that. So we slung we'd already qualified and stuff like that. But no, you are right. Obviously, I was really surprised that when they won 1 in Portugal. That was amazing.
Yeah, I'm all the way back to the 70s now, and I don't see us playing any. Oh, here we go. We played Sporting Lisbon before. We played them in the 69-70 Fairs Cup, 0-0 at their place, 3-0 at home, and that's it. So we haven't actually beaten any Portuguese team until that. So that makes it even better. I just watched back the Welbeck goal. It's a fantastic goal.
Yeah.
I think Guendouzi played it out of defence to Lucas. We've already had a debate on why and what he had. He say his name, Geoff?
Torreira,
yeah. Torreira, isn't it? Yeah. I'm sure that people will know what you're talking about then.
Yeah, our midfielder Lucas, Guendouzi give it to Lucas. Lucas then played it through the centre of the field, and Aubameyang, it looked like he got a tiny bit of a back heel on it because he was facing away from goal. And then whatever it was, whether it was the Lucas, the power of Lucas's ball, the power of his skills, but it went straight through to Welbeck, who went between the two defenders onto Welbeck. Welbeck put it past the goalkeeper, and I thought that's fantastic. That's what Welbeck is doing here for us. That's his. I think that was his 5th goal of the season. Just going to quickly check. I think it is. Yeah, he's got the same number of goals this season as Lacazette, which is not something that we'd have thought this time last season. Did you think his time was up at Arsenal, Steve?
I don't think his time's up yet, but I think it.
No, I mean at the end of last season.
No,
he's turned it around, hasn't he?
No, I think if it had been, I think Emery would have binned him, but I don't think we'll be renewing his contract.
No? Well, would you like us to?
Not 150 grand a week, no.
But he is only. You've got the English Premium, and he's only 27, and he's got 5 goals in 11 games this season.
But he's got 3/4 of a knee between 2 legs.
Would you keep him, Geoff?
I would indeed. Yeah, I think he's. You know what I like about him? He gets about the pitch. You know, he's a bit of a nuisance. And he's not a natural goal scorer. We spoke about it before, but I do like Danny, and I think he's a good squad player. And I know he's brilliant around. He's a joker around the squad and everything else when they're messing about on the training pitch. And I think it's good to have guys like that. And you know what I do if we can keep him fit. I think he's handy. He's always, he gets about him. He's not, and he will score goals, but he's just not a natural goal scorer. You know, but the way he stuck the goal away against Sporting was brilliant, mate. You know, he's one of them ones where I think if he gets too much time in front of goal, he fucks it up. If he hasn't got time to think about it, he'll just strike it and put it away. You know, one of those ones.
Touch of the Walcott's. Ellis, would you keep him, considering that he's right-footed, but he seems to be in the latter part of his Arsenal career. He can play wide left, even though he's right-footed. He can play in the kind of the Ozil hole. He can play wide right. He can play as a striker. Would you keep him for his versatility? And because he's England form, 16 goals in 42 games for England. I mean, that's unbelievable, Geoff. I don't mean you, Geoff, but go on, Ellis.
Yeah, I'd keep him simply for the reason you just highlighted. He's a very versatile player, but I think it's a different story keeping the player from our point of view or from the club's point of view. It also matters what Danny Welbeck as a player thinks. If he's happy to be that player who is sort of 3rd, 4th choice in the lineup, going to only really play in Europa League, or if next season we potentially get to Champions League, only play in the Champions League games or in the cup games. It depends what his ambitions are, really. I think he probably will end up going next season. Again, not for the fact that he's completely versatile, and Geoff's already mentioned his form in front of goal can be a bit iffy at times, but when he hasn't got the opportunity to sort of think about it, he generally puts it away, and he's quite good in the air. I'd say he's probably better in the air than our other 2 strikers, Aubameyang and Lacazette. But again, it all depends if he wants to be that guy who is sat on the bench for the majority of the big games and only comes on as a sub, or if he wants to go and be sort of a big fish in a small pond and try his luck at another Premier League club a bit lower in the table, or potentially go abroad. I'm not sure if that's something that he'd do, but who knows? But I can see him probably leaving in the window because I think there's other areas that we want to strengthen. I don't think the club are willing to probably offer a deal, and if they do, it might not be sort of enough money or with enough sort of suggesting that he's going to play with some assurance on whether he's going to play enough games or not. So I think he probably could potentially leave.
As far as I was aware, I thought the club had told him he could leave on a free.
Oh, well, there you go.
You know, Ralph Sagne's way of dealing with transfers. I mean, which they did just done quite a big press bit on in the most of the papers. Is basically him missing Slat, and we now learn Mertesacker as well. Obviously, Emery, Carcedo, they all sit together and they talk about what they need in the team, what they're looking for in the team, what players we've got. what value they represent to the club in terms of assets, wages, contribution to the wage bill, and they make decisions based on what's best for the club now and sort of 2, 3, 5, 6 years. He's already said, he's not going to allow people to run their contracts down anymore. So you are going to see players get given ultimatums like sign up or fuck off.
Okay, right.
But there are players who are still.
You broke up then. Say that again, Steve. I thought you finished. You'd broken up.
Oh, right. So there are players, despite Raul Sanllehi saying he's not going to let people run down their contracts, there are players who are still doing that because of the previous contract that they were given, Mr. Ramsey and Mr. Welbeck, and they will be let go if they can't be sold.
I don't know how he's going to manage to. I mean, it's all right. You might say, well, okay, we're going to sell you, but if a player doesn't want to go, he's going to sit there, Steve, isn't he?
Well, yeah, he is. But the point for the club is this: that financially, the contract is already written off because it's written off at a set amount each year. So if he's got a 5-year contract which is worth 50 million quid, it's written off at 10 million quid a year. So in the last year, it's worth 0 on the books. So the club don't lose any money on it. If they let him walk away, if they let Ramsey walk away and they don't have to pay him 10 million quid a year, they've just gained 10 million quid. If they let Welbeck go and he wanted 150 grand a week, then they've just gained another 8 million quid. And the thing is that 18 million pound can buy you, a player, or it can play for a really class player. So that basically what they're doing is they're thinking probably, right, well, we need this player at left back. I mean, and I also think there will be casualties out of the squad. So they're playing around with their portfolio of money in terms of a total pot of wages and transfer fees that they can spend, staggering fees and all the rest of it. But, as you say, a player's a person and they have their rights. So if I don't want to be sold, I won't be sold. I'll leave on a free. Thanks very much. I don't want to sign my contract. But at the end of the day, I think agents will not to mess Sanllehi about. I think Ramsey's agent has been made to look a bit of a prat because he was obviously offered quite a good deal and he thought he could get more, and then now he's getting nothing. And that sends messages out there to the world. I think it's quite clear, if players are not going to sign, then they're not going to be allowed to play. I mean, Ramsey's not starting, is he?
I do think that's the way the game's going now. I think you'll get most of these players, especially if they're like a wanted commodity. I think they'll just be moving every 2 or 3 years, and they'll see their contracts out, and they'll get the bulk of rather than the clubs get it now. I think that it's just player power, and I think that's the way it's going to go.
Because that has happened to us more than many other clubs, isn't it? Players leaving on a free or getting down to the last year of their contract, and we've been forced to sell them. So everyone blamed Wenger.
Let's put it another way. The happening to us has been publicised a lot more than loads of other clubs.
Exactly.
Lots of people have left Liverpool. Lots of people have left Spurs over wages. Lots of people have left Chelsea because they can't get fucking game time. Yeah. And Chelsea have let lots of players let their contracts wind down and fuck off because, like, for example, they let Peter Cech go on a free. They didn't have to, but they let him go on a free out of a gesture of kindness to him. Now, it's basically the media love picking on Arsenal. And at the same time as well, there was some crapness in the contract era pre-Fuss Harmy. What's his name? Is it? Huss Farmy, pre-Huss Farmy times. So, there is a whole sort of like cycle of contracts there which had to wear themselves out. So now they'll be wearing themselves out. So now we get onto new contracts where they're monitored and agents are going to be pursued and deals are going to be struck or people are going to be moved on.
Imagine if we were in the situation that Man United are. They've just signed up Luke Shaw for 180,000 a week. David, all these Man United players, their contracts expire in the end of June next year. De Gea, Martial, Mata, Herrera, Jones, Smalling, Darmian, Valencia, Pereira, and Young. All of those players. Now, imagine if that was Arsenal that's virtually a first team. Well, hey, that's 3/4 of a first team you got there. Martial was 50 million quid.
Hasn't De already signed an extension, or is that just a rumour?
I think some of these have got an option. Quite a few of them. There's 4 of these have got an option for a further year. Now, who's that option down to? Is that down to the club to take up that option, or is it down to the player, or a bit of both?
Who knows? But who cares about United?
Yeah, precisely. Fuck 'em.
Options.
That's probably why we don't think about it, though, because let's be honest, we're all Arsenal fans. All we focus
Yeah.
on is our own team. We don't focus, like you say, you've just reeled off all those names. I didn't have a single clue or idea any of those players United on their last contract.
And nor do you care.
Focus on is Arsenal. So that's why we're probably a bit more sort of moaning about one club.
Options have to be agreed by both sides.
Because there you go. Because one of them players, it said option agreed both sides. Option 1 year both sides. Anyway, right, we should move on from. There's just one other thing I want to. Geoff, I'll take you for this. Xhaka at left back against Porto. I mean, I keep saying Porto, Sporting Lisbon. Do you think he was any good? Because
I can't. I cannot believe that Emery did that. To be honest with you, I know he finished the game. What was the last home game we had? With Leicester, was it? Yeah, was it Leicester? Yeah, I think didn't he finish that game at left back?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he did. Yes,
Did he finish that game at left back? Looked okay, but listen. First and foremost, if you're a winger or a wing back nowadays, you've got to have plenty of pace about you. And one thing Xhaka has, he's just not quick enough across the grass. And I was quite surprised. We'll no doubt talk about about the Palace.
Yes.
And mate, I was surprised. I thought he was going to get up for a roasting for that game, but you know what? He didn't do too bad against Sporting, but you can get away with it a few times. But if he keeps playing there, I think we will definitely get found out. Plus, he's not a natural left back, is he? I'm not sure he's played left back. But, if he's a midfield player, then it's just a totally different position, really. For especially having to defend like that, you've got to watch your near post and your back post, whatever side of the ball's coming on, and the runs in behind, and you're just not switched on. And I don't think he's that switched on defensively anyway. I don't think he smells the danger, and that's a problem we've had for the last 2 or 3 years with him playing in there as well. He hasn't had that defensive mentality, which we had needed. Long term, I can't believe that we haven't got a left back that's at the club already that can slip in there. It's amazing, It's just, what's happened is who's the kid we got from Kolasinac? Was he injured again?
Yeah,
he's
hamstring.
injured. Yeah.
And what's all the Monreal injured?
Monreal and Kolasinac are both injured.
Yeah.
And the problem is that the nearest kid beneath them who could play in that position is about 17. I don't think he wanted to put that kid in there against Nani at Sporting Lisbon. So I think he thought, well, okay, I've got a sacrifice going forward, but I've got someone who can tackle and is a solid player there. So he put Xhaka there because I don't think he had anything else left he could put in there.
There was Ainsley Maitland-Niles. I think he's recently come back from injury, but I think he may have played in a youth game prior.
Yeah,
he's
he
probably
played
not
in
quite ready yet.
We played in the 1-1 against Swansea. He played. I think he started and played 68 minutes or something like that.
Not match fit.
Then we've got Cohen Bramall, who we picked up from non-league, and that hasn't really worked out. He's a good championship player. He did all right with Birmingham last season. But yeah, there's I'm just looking at who did play. There's a bloke who's playing for the under-23s called Dominic Thompson. Probably the one you want about, Steve. He's just turned 18 in the
he's
summer.
just not got the experience.
Yeah, you couldn't really chuck him in against that. And I'm just looking at Granit Xhaka in his career. He's played 290 games roughly, and he's played 2 at left back. Both of them were for us. But there again, he's got a 50% goal ratio at playing at left back. He's got 1 goal in 2 games. The only other thing I wanted to bring up about that game is you mentioned it in the first part, Steve. I keep going to say Jay Leno. Bernd Leno blocked 8 shots, and also the shots on target. They had 7. We had 7. They had none. He's absolutely magnificent in goal, isn't he? For that game, we'll come up to the Palace one, which wasn't really his fault in a bit. But yeah, what did you think to Leno as cementing his place as first choice after a display like that?
I think first of all, what he does is if you look at his surety on the ball, when he's got the ball at his feet, his distribution's fucking brilliant. He's quite able to take the ball under pressure with someone bearing down on him or pressing him. Pass the ball out, find his man. He's quite also capable of pinging it 40 yards over the top and finding Aubameyang and Lacazette if he wants to, if he's allowed to tactically. I think his surety on the ball and the fact that he knows where he's got to be and he knows where his defence are, I think that gives the defence confidence. I think they like that. He's got brilliant reactions. I think he's a good shot stopper. And also what I like is he comes to corners and he gets them. And if he doesn't get them, he punches them. And he don't give a fuck if he punches in the opponent's player either.
I noticed that. It's brilliant. He doesn't hold back.
And I think that's the problem. I think Peter Cech was a good keeper who got ruined by Payton. I think the new goalkeeping coach has brought him back a bit, but I think he gives the defence the jitters, and I think he's not comfortable with that ball at his feet. They know it, and the opposition fucking know it, and that puts them under pressure. Whereas Bernd Leno doesn't seem to give a rat's ass, does he?
No, he's good on the ball. He's very, very good on the ball, isn't he? And that does make a difference for a team that wants to play out at the back and play that type of system. It is absolutely essential that a goalkeeper is comfortable with the ball at his feet. And we all know that Petr Cech, he'd most probably admit it himself, that it's not really for him, is it? So, yeah, I think he's the best option. You know what? I've been impressed with him. He's done quite well, hasn't he? We've had goalkeepers come in the past and have a right mare of it. And make a rat's arse of it, but I think he's done really well, pound for pound. For what he's done, when he's come in.
Lovely, Ellis. Anything you want to say on that game before we move on? We've already done 20 minutes. Hopefully, you're going to say no.
No.
Hey, lovely. All right, next thing we're going to go to. I'll start with you on this one, Ellis. Did you see the game, the Palace game?
Yeah, I was hungover and I was hoping for a good result to make me feel better, but
so go on.
Hey.
Well, tell us about what you thought. Your thoughts on the game, and a little bit about Xhaka playing at left back yet again, because although he's not a left back as everybody knows, he was instrumental in so much stuff that happened in that game. Even though I think he's our 5th choice left back this season.
Yeah, I don't know really. It's hard to see who's after sort of Nacho and Said, but I guess it would be
Maitland-Niles, then possibly Bramall, then him. But I think Bramall's
don't know about Bramall. I think it'd probably be 4th potentially. Yeah. Right. But yeah, the lineup, I wasn't massively surprised. I thought sort of Mkhitaryan and Rams would probably drop back down to the bench after the Lisbon game, like they have done previously when they've played in Europa League. And obviously, Steve's mentioned about the time difference, or not the time difference, the days between the games that are played might have had an effect. So I went into the game thinking it was going to be difficult. It always seemed quite difficult at Crystal Palace because it's quite a small pitch and the fans are quite a lively bunch. And speaking of the fans, there was one really annoying fan, like the Highbury screamer, who was just screaming all the bloody time. Like Palace got close to score and it was doing my nutting. But anyway, less of that. And I thought we'd probably have a difficult game. We started off slow, like we always have. It seems to be sort of a theme of this Emery team, starting off slow in the first half and then kicking into gear in the second half. And yeah, 2 pens that I'm sure we'll come on to discuss in a bit. But the first one was a definite pen, and the second one for me was, I think, although it probably would have been a pen, again, Xhaka at left back. He's inexperienced. Would Nacho Monreal have done that there? Who's to say? I think I can remember a few seasons, or maybe last season or a couple of seasons back against Leicester, and Nacho Monreal fouled Vardy, and he'd done a similar sort of movement that Zaha did to Xhaka, where he's left a foot out and the players sort of initiated the contact and bought himself a penalty. Whether you want to call that a dive or say it's not a penalty, it's by the by. But yeah, it was frustrating considering we'd obviously come back, got a good goal. Again, our second goal that we scored, controversial. Looked like Lacazette was having his shirt pulled in a brief handball before Aubameyang put it over the line, and just over the line, literally. Like when they showed the replay on Sky Sports, that ball barely looked like there was any air between the line and the ball, but that's what the technology is there for, and it got it right at the end of the day. And then Xhaka's free kick, I didn't expect him to actually put it away. I thought it was just going to be a cross, and then the way he sort of stepped up and took it, it was quality. But obviously was the hero then, and maybe turned to zero when he gave away the penalty in the 83rd minute. But again, the end, that run, the 11 straight wins, it was always going to come to an end. It is a bit frustrating that it sort of ended in a 2-2 draw. It could have been worse, obviously could have lost, and it is a bit frustrating that we want to sort of carry that momentum into the Liverpool game. And again, the injuries, also Hector Bellerin got an injury, came on, Lichtsteiner came on at half time for him, so that's a worry. I'm not sure, you'll probably be able to tell me a bit about the injuries and who might be due back, but obviously we've got Bellerin out now and both the left backs. So
Bellerin's out for a little bit, and I think those two will have a fitness test at the weekend.
So who knows if we'll have all our 2 left backs and our first choice right back ready for Liverpool, which is a bit worrying. But other than that, I thought 2-2 was a fair result. Again, if there is VR there, maybe a couple of the goals may have been ruled out, but I thought the fair result was a draw. I didn't think Palace really did too much to warrant a win. At times they were quite dominant, and we seemed to soak up the pressure quite well at times, and other times I think Andros Townsend hit the post. But for me, I think 2-2 was a fair result and definitely a draw. But hopefully we can sort of respond. We've obviously got Blackpool coming up on Wednesday, and then the big game on Saturday against Liverpool that we've got to try and do something against. That was it. Finished.
Oh, right. I was say against. They've been dipping shitbags or something. Excellent. Geoff, come to you now. Your thoughts on the game, and were you surprised that Leno has started over what is probably a fit check?
Not really, no. I think when he's come in and done well, and he hasn't made any severe rickets, then I think you got to run with it. And I think he'll do the same if it was the other way round. I think that's only fair, good and proper. Unless you've got one outstanding keeper that like we've had in the past, so to speak, when as soon as he comes, he's got to come straight back in. But I mean, the faults of the game, we was absolutely pathetic in the first half. I thought we was terrible. Maybe a little bit hungover from the game on the Thursday night in Portugal, but we just couldn't get the ball down. I think they, the pitch looked a bit bumpy, and I think they do that deliberately. Palace. I think that's all part of their game plan. They don't want a nice smooth pitch that we can roll the ball about and play the nice, stroking football. But the penalty was shocking from Mustafi. He's unfortunately. I mean, I do like him, but he's an accident waiting to happen every single game, isn't it? There's always something that you're concerned about. He's going to do something. Whether he takes someone's legs off on the halfway line, or when he tries to win the ball in front of people, or just makes and he's always, if you watch the game, he's always 2 or 3 yards deeper than everybody else, because I think he's worried about his pace. So I mean, he was tragic again at the weekend with regards to the penalty, and they're vital things. So that put them in front just before half time. I was gutted about that, because I thought we was going to nick the 0-0 going in, and then maybe he could organise it in the second half. Second half, really, we wasn't that much better, but we got a couple of goals, and then the equaliser. Again, what I was talking about with Xhaka, obviously the inexperience of playing as a left back. You got a winger like, was it Saha?
Yeah.
Saha? Yeah, you've got a winger like Saha. He's got plenty of pace, plenty of tricks about him. Very, very quick feet. He's bearing down on you. First thing he wants to do is get into the box, because when he gets into the box, he knows that you can't really make a challenge. So you've got to get up in his face early doors and don't let him get into the box. If you're going to give a free kick away, do it outside the box, and you can, you get all your troops back, and hopefully you can defend a free kick or something. But if you start letting him run at you, he gets a little bit of a stride on, and the worst thing in the world is to go straight on at him. You've got to be on the side, and that's exactly why he gave that penalty away, because his body shape was wrong. If he was a fullback, they'd have just moved on to the side and shown him out to the line, or even shown him inside. But one way, if you're on the side ready to run, you've got a chance. If you square up, he's only got to knock the ball past you. You've got to put your leg out, and you know what they're going to do, these forwards nowadays. They'll put their legs against you to make look like you've clipped them, and he hadn't. He just pulled his leg away, right? And the kid, he didn't buy it. He didn't. It was just cheating. It's as simple as that. He's just cheated his way, right? But if you're the opposition manager or the opposition fan, you'd think, fuck it, you take that out of court. You would do. But I think it was a poor refereeing at the end of the day, and we was unlucky. But you know what? We've got a great record at Palace over the years, and I was, at the end of the day, I was glad. I was still glad to get out there without getting beat, because we could have got beat. In previous years, last 2 or 3 years, then we've had some naughty times there. I know we've got away with wins, but that could have been a game that we could have slipped up and got beat. And I'm glad that we hung on and got a draw out of it.
Oh, good. Yes, Steve. Your thoughts on the games, and have you got any stats for the wonderful listener?
Well, so there was one stat somebody put up on Twitter that Arsenal have only won one game in the last 10 years where Atkinson's been the fucking ref when we've been away. So that fucking tells you something. But I thought his refereeing for both sides was fucking appalling. He missed very bad fouls. He missed fouls which should have been bookings. There was a couple of dives by Palace players who should have been punished. He's missed a deliberate handball by one of our players that's led to a goal. He's given a penalty where there's blatant cheating being going on. So the referee country was a very high factor. I mean, to be honest, I was disappointed with Palace. I thought to myself, if I was Roy Hodgson, I'd think Arsenal have just played in the Europa League. They've had our game, and they're going to have Xhaka at left back, so I'll target him. I'll put Andrex Townsend and another player and double up on him down that side and go after him. And they didn't really go after him that much at all. It was only in the second half where Zaha swapped over there and he was being a fucking pest. But he's throwing himself about all over the place. I just don't think we really got going. And I agree with Geoff. You know, at the end of the day, you've had 11 games unbeaten. The last thing you want to do is get beat. We never got beat. People are treating the draw at Palace like, oh, fuck it, we lost. We didn't lose. We drew. And to be honest, like we're lucky to get the draw in the way we played. So to walk out of there with a point, there'll be a lot of fucking teams that go there this year won't get any points. To walk out of there and go on to the wall pushers, which is a big game, and still have that confidence is the best thing, you know. I mean, Mustafi, though, I've defended him and I've said for a long time, you know, that his first 28 games for Arsenal, he was brilliant. He had Cazorla in front of him and, you know, he was imperious and he never lost the game and he never got beat. But, you know, I've watched him now for a long time and I thought I'll give him a season's grace because, you know, Emery's reorganising stuff and midfield in front of him's changing. And you look in there now and you're thinking, right, you've got Torreira there and you've got Xhaka. And when those two are playing there together, the defence have way less problems than when Guendouzi's playing there with Torreira. Because Guendouzi's bloody, as much as he's brilliant going forward, he holds the ball too long. He sometimes tries passes that are impossible and puts it right back on his teammates. But the worst thing about Guendouzi, and I love him to death, he's a great lad and he's a brilliant talent. Something he's got to learn and it will come with time. His positioning defensively is appalling. And he does leave centre-halves exposed. Having said that, though, and I've seen Carcedo say it so many times in training films, Mustafi, you have to fucking stay on your feet. And interesting thing what Geoff said, because I've noticed that as well, that he's always playing everyone on side because he's dropped 2 metres back. When Socrates is playing with him, Geoff, you watch him. Socrates keeps telling him, move up.
Move up, that's right, yeah.
Move up, stop playing everybody on side. So I think he has got a problem with his pace and he knows it. But the problem is if you actually look at what he does where that penalty is, that's pure fucking rush to the blood to the bollocks, that is.
Yeah.
He's not thought about it. He's a panicker. And he's dived in there. And do you know what? I sat there and I thought about it and I watched Match a day later and I just thought, fuck me, he's caught Koscielny-itis.
He wouldn't have even got the ball, you know, the lad that was trying to get the ball. He wouldn't have nowhere near the ball, mate, really.
No, Leno would have got it. Leno was coming to get the ball. You should see the look on Leno's face when Mustafi shot in there and done that.
But he does that a lot, doesn't he? He does that mad rush of blood.
But Koscielny used to do it as well.
Yeah.
And it's this panic. It's not being in the right place. It's bad position. And for me, it makes me think, you know, he is a good player most of the time. But the problem is that the few seconds there's that Jekyll and Hyde fucking bit where it's all going to go boss side, and that's what Emery won't tolerate. And I think I would put him on my list of people to get the Spanish Archer in the summer. To be honest,
on the ball, he's fine. He's a decent footballer, right? But you know, he's a defender, and when you got to defend, he don't really cut it for me, mate. He's not. I don't think he's that much of a good defender, you know.
I think it's very few and far between about, to be honest, and those that are got big fucking
dying breed, the proper defender now, Steve, from when we was growing up, you know.
How much would Sergio Ramos in his prime cost these days, or fucking Varane, for fuck's sake?
Would even someone like Tony Adams, or even, you know, John Terry, that type of defender, or even a few other defenders that we've had over the years.
If you look at Van Dijk at Liverpool, went for 75 million quid. He's not fit to wipe Rafael Varane's arse or Ramos's arse. You're talking at least 1.5 to 200 million quid. We ain't buying players like that.
I think the other thing we need to look at in this game is the stats. Possession, we beat them 58-42. Shots on target, Palace beat shots they beat is 16-7. But the most telling one, this is a team that have played 4 home Premier League games this season and haven't scored a goal. They've lost 3 out of those 4, and the other one they drew 0-0. And shots on target, Ellis. Palace had 3, we had 2. Now, I'm just looking at. I was trying to figure out why this has happened when you've got Ozil and Lacazette and Aubameyang and Welbeck later. So I thought, well, at the moment we play out from the back, don't we, with a couple of centre backs, and then they give it to the goalkeeper, and then back again, and they give it to the midfield, and then they play it out from there. But Guendouzi only had an 82% pass success rate. Now Torreira 92, that's okay. Mustafi 85, but there again, in the new Arsenal, that a centre back must have good passing accuracy, because if so, that was 11 passes that Mustafi did that weren't good passes, and holding 89%. So the little note I've put here is that is this why our hold on, that is our centre backs and central midfielders square. This I've got it in my head as a square from which we build everything. Is this why we didn't get the service or the chances to score for the front 4? Xhaka 35 out of 50 were accurate. That's 70% and the worst on the pitch. So Xhaka on the left-hand side, because a lot of the time we build up from the wings as well. But I mean, if Xhaka's only got a 70% pass success rate, it's, what would you put it down to? The lack of chances that we had. I mean, 2 shots at goal against on target against a team like that. That's shocking.
Yeah, true.
I think what I'd put it down to is, I know you've sort of criticised Xhaka's passing accuracy from the left-back position, but I think what it shows is Torreira and Guendouzi aren't a good partnership.
Absolutely.
And Xhaka and Torreira are. They work really well. If you look at Xhaka in the position next to Torreira and look at his passing stats, then I guarantee they'll be a lot higher than 7%, and they'll probably be in the sort of high 80s, low 90s, because they work well together. Torreira sort of makes up for what Xhaka's weaknesses are, and vice versa for Xhaka to Torreira. Guendouzi, again, positioning, he's still got a lot to learn. He's a very young lad. And I think a lot of us, when we first signed him, didn't know who he was, and definitely didn't expect him to be making the impact that he's made in the squad so far this season. We forget at the start of the season, he was getting into the team over Torreira. But since Torreira's got into that position, he's made it his own, and that base has looked a lot better with Xhaka and Torreira together. And that's the issue we've got. We don't have any fit left backs at the moment. So Emery's deemed that Xhaka is the best fit to go into that position. And by doing that, you've taken out the sort of control that he has in that central midfield with Torreira. He had a lot of criticism last season, but I think this season, when he's been part of Torreira, he's looked really, really good. He's played well. He's put passes out. And you could see that against Crystal Palace. The fact that we only managed to get 2 shots on target, and was it 7 in total? Yeah. It just shows that the lack of service they're getting. Mesut Ozil looked really good against Leicester last week. And again, the majority of that game, Xhaka was in the midfield. Obviously, he ended the game at left back. We had that injury, but for the majority of that game, he was there. He was picking the ball up. He was finding Ozil. Him and Torreira both were. And I think there's a stat that came up that someone may have put on Twitter about the passes that Guendouzi and Torreira in Crystal Palace made to Ozil was about 6 or 7, compared to the sort of double figures that they were both making to Ozil when it was Torreira and Xhaka. And I think you hit it there on the head. Xhaka at left back with Guendouzi in midfield completely ruins that, because Xhaka's then he's left playing on the wings is hard, because if you go out wide, you've only got one option, and that is to try and beat someone for pace or lob the ball over them or play it back in midfield. They can close the passing lanes off a lot easier on someone that's playing against along the wing. And Xhaka probably isn't fit to do that from that point of view.
The other thing is as well, is if you've got Hector Bellerin going off injured, that's that complete outlet down that side gone, because, you know, with all the best will in the world, Lichtsteiner ain't getting behind anybody. And then, of course, you've got Xhaka at left back. It's probably been told by Emery to block that side up and not be too adventurous going forward. And he's not, as Ellis has just said, he's not going to go be whizzing past blokes, beating them and crashing crosses in. So, you know, that's why you've not got that service. You know, couple that up with what Ellis has just eloquently explained. That's why it is what it is. I also think as well that we are very foolish in this way that we don't verify playing out from the back. It's always out to the centre half to the right. into the DM, onto the left wing back or the right wing back. Why is there no play it amongst yourselves at the back, draw them forward, and then Leno pings the ball over the top to the wing back who's already gone up the wing, or to Aubameyang, or to even to Lacazette, so they actually don't know what they're going to expect. It's a bit too predictable.
I think that's what you're going to see at the weekend, though. I definitely think that if he thinks that we're going to play it out at the bank, like we have been against a team like Liverpool, with their really, really high press, super organised from Klopp, fair play to him, and aggressive, that aggressive press that they got, we'll be in trouble, mate, because we won't be able to cope with it. So I hope that you'll see for the first time, which you didn't see under Wenger, because like I mentioned on previous podcasts, he would just never compromise. He always thought we could outscore teams regardless. And, we come a cropper a million times, didn't we? 5 and 6-0 chasings we got. But if we do that against Liverpool, I would fear the worst. But I think that for the first time, you'll see a dramatic change. I think that you'll see him put a really defensive team out. But we'll talk about that. Sure. I was going to ask you boys, this Lichtsteiner, how do you think he's faring in the Arsenal setup at the moment?
Who's going to take that?
Steve, sorry. Steve's gone. He's gone to sleep.
Are you there, Steve?
Ellis still there?
Yeah, I'm still there.
Go on. What do you think about Lichtsteiner? Ellis, how do you think he's done?
What I would say is when we first signed him, or when we signed him in the summer, I wasn't sort of enamoured. I know he's been a quality sort of right back for Juve, but I thought he's personally past his best. I was quite happy with the fact that he is, and he has been, a quality right back throughout his career, and it'd be good to sort of help push Bella in. I don't think we've really seen too much of him to make an opinion or form an opinion if he's been a success or not. I mean, it's only sort of 10 weeks in, or however many weeks in.
Yeah.
But when he has come and he's done well, he done quite well when he had to fill in at left back for a bit.
Yeah.
And what I do like about him, I think what a lot of people like about him is his shithousery. I think he can teach some of the nicey Arsenal players.
Yeah, he's very clever at the weekend, wasn't he? When he scraped down the lad's thingy and he put his arms up and said, "Oh, sorry, I really didn't mean it." He knew exactly what he was doing, didn't he? You know what I mean?
Exactly. And I think Guendouzi, I know two different for different positions, but one of my criticisms of Guendouzi would be the fact that he sometimes dawdles on the ball a bit more, tries to win a foul, but doesn't. But you can sort of see Lichtsteiner's got that down to an art form. He knows how to make sure the referee knows he's been fouled. And he also knows the other way of that, how to get a little cheeky elbow in or a cheeky sort of tackle on someone without getting booked and disguise it and make it look like an accident. I think some of the sort of nicey young gentleman Arsenal players can learn a few things from him, be a bit sort of meaner and nastier on the pitch and make it harder for teams to sort of bully us, which is something we've been widely criticised for as being a bit too softy, nicey, and you always hear the sort of the typical fucking English manager saying, well, English players like Troy Deeney, for example, saying, they didn't have the cojones, so we just got up in their faces, and it'd be nice to sort of get rid of that image and make people realise that actually, if you want to come for a fight, we'll give it to you.
I think the thing that Lichtsteiner gives you also is leadership. You see him during after games, even when he's not playing. He comes off and he walks over to a player that, he wants to tell something, and they're quite willing to listen to him. I notice he spends quite a lot of time with Hector Bellerin in training, and talking to him and showing him things. And I think for him, Socrates, although they might be older heads, that they're coming in, they're leaders. Socrates, quite an eloquent guy when he speaks. He knows what he's talking about. And both of those two are blessed in the dark arts.
Your favourite word. I was waiting for the dark arts. That's what we want, though.
Yeah, there is, and they're teaching the players, how to leave a foot in, how to fucking bludgeon some cunt down the TV,
how to get away with it,
and how to get away with it. I mean, there was a brilliant piece in that Palace match where Lichtsteiner fucking basically let Zaha know he was there, clumped him something fucking dreadful, ran up and said, "I'm awfully sorry." Shook his hand and picked him up, then went over to the referee and said, "I'm awfully sorry, it was a terrible accident," and got away with the most appalling foul. Yeah. And that's for me, but that's great at what he does. I mean, he does go forward, and he can cross a ball. He's not blessed with pace, and he's not above taking some cunt out either, which is quite pleasing.
Yeah, true. I like him. I quite like him. He's like you said. He's very assured. He's not. You're not one of them players that's short of confidence. Sometimes when you find the new club, they're a little bit bottly if they don't hit the ground running straight away. But I think he's very assured and keeps the ball very well. And I think he'd do well for us. And I think the manager's been very, very shrewd. Obviously, he knew that we had a defensive problem. And he's brought in a couple of players that are very, very experienced, and I think he's just going to run with it for the meantime, just to get us through until he gets his own players in that he could utilise.
Yeah, talking about them, we're going back to the first penalty. My notes that I've made here: first pen, Mustafi going sliding in like a Winter Olympics luge gold medalist, and does this? This is for you, Steve. Does this affect his chances of being Premier League first choice when Sockpap is back? Because it won't be long, will it? Before I know he's just come back from a slight knock, but is he going to be first choice, or do you reckon it's going to be Socrates and Holding?
Well, he was playing both of those two together, wasn't he? He was playing Mustafi and Socrates together. I think Big Bag Bobby Holding and Socrates will be first choice. I think the last thing you need against the bin dippers is anybody sliding in anywhere. Koss, I don't know, because I saw rumours yesterday that he might be allowed to leave in January. Mind you, they were from Team Talk, so they could be bollocks. But to be honest, to come back from a snapped Achilles tendon, he ain't playing anywhere before the end of November, I don't think. And they'll ease him in. I don't think they'll want him playing pitches in December, because it might happen again. But we have to we have to see what he does, But no, I would say that the panicking business will be something that they will look on and think, actually, do we really need him diving in there and giving pens away like that?
Geoff, the future of the centre-back pairing, do you think that it's a case of Mustafi isn't going to be getting any better, whereas Big Bad Bob Holding is getting better by the game?
Yeah, definitely. I think Holding's done really, really well when he's come in. He's obviously got a new lease of life with a new manager that come in. He's obviously seen him in training, likes him, put his arm around him maybe, said, listen, you could be the future for Arsenal, and give him a little bit more confidence. And he's done relatively good since he's been in. Still a little bit raw, isn't he? He's all right. He's brilliant on the ball, but like he's there to defend, and I think he's still a bit inexperienced. You need 200 games under your belt till you really, really get going. At top flight. And he hasn't had that yet, especially at Arsenal. So he's got a little bit of learning to do. Again, he's one of those that's learning on the job. But I do honestly believe that manager will go out and try and purchase a top centre half in the winter window, Christmas. And if that don't happen, he'll go again in the summer and try and. I think he's definitely got to try and work on the defence, because offensively, I think we're okay.
53 games, Big Bob, so far for us, and how many of them has he had bad games? I can't really remember any, really. I mean, he had one magnificent, the one with the Per Mertesacker against Chelsea in the FA Cup final. Some people would dying out on a career for that, wouldn't they, for the rest of their life? Magnificent. Ellis, anything you want to say on the centre-back partnership before we move on?
Not really. I'd probably.
That's
Jason Davies is going to hate us, though, isn't he? We've literally just slagged Mustafi all podcast. So as soon as he hears this, he'll be fuming. But
the only time you need to worry is if Jason sent you an ABW Live T-shirt. That means he has your address. Have you got one, Ellis?
I have got one.
Bet you say nothing then.
I'll keep quiet.
Right.
This podcast is brought to you in association with Online Bully Monitors.
Yeah. Right, so just going to quickly say about the free kick, Steve, while I got you. How good a free kick would you rate that? The keeper did get a barely a finger, maybe a nail to it, but how good would you rate that amongst the greatest Arsenal free kicks in modern history? Because I don't think we took free kicks in the black and white days, did we? You don't ever see someone like a Ted Drake taking a 40-yard screamer. Seems to all be tap-ins.
I think we're all forgetting Alexis Sanchez scored a few tasty free kicks.
Dead to me.
So has Ozil.
And Van Persie. Dead to me as well.
So is Robin Van something or other.
And Cazorla in a certain FA Cup final.
That's the point. That's the point. You talk about Robin Van Persie. Obviously, he's announced his retirement. Is he Would he be
retired?
Yeah, at the end of the season, I think.
Oh, yeah, I know he's now playing in sort of a central midfield role for Feyenoord, and they got smashed at the weekend.
Someone put a tweet out, or sorry, I read it somewhere. Will Robin van Persie be regarded as a legend at Arsenal?
No,
I don't think he'll be regarded that. He has 4 letters that begins with a C.
Yeah.
And if I was Steve, I'd probably say it.
And you can put his little mate Fabregas under the same note as well. He ain't coming back either. He said, "I wouldn't rule out a move back from Chelsea to Arsenal." I wrote underneath it, "Yeah, well, Arsenal fans have you faked injury, you went to a Grand Prix, and you pay for racism. FC, fuck off." Going back to that free kick,
where would you rate it?
I think it was a good free kick because what was quite funny was before the free kick on Canal Plus, they did a big close up on him talking to somebody, and he sort of bit his bottom lip and his eyes went from left to right like he was having a good butcher's hook in one of these. His eyes were going from left to right as if he was having a sneaky peek out the back door of a theatre. He was about to do a runner, undecided, and he shaped up like he was going to cross the ball, and I think that's what done the keeper. But what really did the keeper was he put so much on it, he whipped it in there, but smashed it. Put his boot right for it. And the keeper might have got a finger to it, but it wasn't enough to hold it straight. It was unsavable. They were saying on Match of the Day, should the keeper have done better? He couldn't have saved it. It was a great free kick. That's why he ran over to Emery to grab him afterwards, because Emery said to him, when we get free kicks, you got a good shot and you have a go. Have a go. So he did, and he scored. So, top stuff.
Ellis, where would you rate that amongst your history of seeing Arsenal free kicks?
I think from the angle it is and the fact that I didn't expect him to take it on as a shot, I'd rate it quite high. But in terms of sort of the overall impact, I don't think I'll ever really remember this free kick because it just resulted in a 2-2 draw at Crystal Palace. The free kicks I will remember are the ones that actually were game changing, like I mentioned with Santi Cazorla in an FA Cup final. Those are sort of free kicks I remember, or just thundercracker ones like Robin van Persie, who had scored a few, but again, we don't like to remember him too fondly. Same with Alexis Sanchez, scored a few, but you don't remember them fondly because of who they scored by and where they went.
Yeah, although I questioned Xhaka at left back with his 70% pass success rate, he took the corner as well that Lacazette handballed down to Aubameyang to score the goal. Now, there's some really good stats here. Well, I think they're good stats from Aubameyang in total. He's now the joint top goal scorer in the Premier League with 7 goals, but in only 10 games. He has, but of those 10 games that he's played, he hasn't played 10 times 90 minutes, which would be 900 minutes. He's only played 694 minutes. I hope you're noting this down, dear listener. And that is the equivalent of 7 goals in 7.7 games. Now, that's a hell of a ratio. And then when you include last season, where he got 17 goals in 23 games, when you add up those minutes, he got 17 goals in 19 and a half games. Geoff. Who's that? How dare you?
That's me.
You've lit up.
You've got listeners topping themselves out here. Every 5 minutes, it's a stat attack. I'll have people on my timeline complaining.
Yeah, but it being Polish, I won't care. I won't understand what they're saying.
They're all London fucking cabbies.
Oh, fucking hell. Fuck then. Geoff, about Aubameyang, what a player and what a great season he's having. And just imagine if he played the full 90 minutes every single game, he'd be on about 15 goals by now, wouldn't he? Or something crazy like that.
I think we've got a lot more to come from him, to be honest with you.
He's only 29.
Yeah, no, but I think we have got a lot more to come from him. He's playing that. He's okay. Gives great options, runs in behind, got plenty of pace. But I think it's difficult though because we're comparing him to players that we've had in the past, like Henry and players like that, and it's not fair really. But I think that it's great goal scoring records. The same with Lacazette really. If you put it all on paper, it looks colossal. I would play the two of them together somehow. I'd fit him in. And let him crack away. And the more he plays for us, I think the better he'll get, the more confident he'll get. And if he keeps on banging in the goals, I don't think there'll be a problem. Like I said, offensively, I don't think we need too much. But it's just this defence we've got to sort out.
Steve grumbling in the background there. Steve, how well do you rate him? And is there a bit of a problem at the moment? Because against Leicester, 90 minutes, a rating of 6.9. He only played 9 minutes against Sporting, so that doesn't count. And then played the full game against Palace and got a rating of 6.9 again. Is there a slight issue there?
Not a slight issue. I think, he's a 29-year-old player. He's got a lot of pace. He goes up through the gears very quickly. He'll be a player who's very prone to getting hamstring injuries. They're probably managing his fitness and looking after him. And they've used him several times as an impact sub. And the impact he has when he comes on, that relationship he's got with Lacazette, they start pinging it around and generally humiliating defenders, ruining people. And they make chances and they create chances. As Geoff said, there's a lot there we haven't seen yet. And Emery's using every game as the first half is almost like an experiment. That's why we start slow. He's tinkering with things. He's moving with things. He's learning. He's trying to get the players to learn and absorb new systems and tactics. So, Aubameyang included, he's had to get used to not playing straight through the middle. He's out on the left, but he's happy to do that, and he's happy to do it because he's got a good relationship with Lacazette. We don't have anything to worry about up front. The only issue we've got is whether, who do we replace Mkhitaryan with when we don't renew his contract because we ain't giving him $300,000 a week?
Yeah, I suppose I should balance that up and say it's quite good the fact that those stats were for Lacazette and he hasn't done well the last 3 games. But the last 3 games for Aubameyang, he's scored 3 goals. He's got an 8.3, a 6.9, and a 7.4. Ellis, would you rather have both strikers on form at the same time, or would you? And then also balance that out with both having dry spells at the same time? Or do you think the way that we have it at the moment, where one is on form scoring goals and then the other one isn't, but they're still good mates and they're still working together and they're still causing people issues, that it doesn't really matter if Lacazette doesn't score because Aubameyang will, and vice versa?
I think the obvious decision is the second one you just said. You want someone to be scoring the goals. You don't really care who, as long as someone is, and we haven't got a particular dry spell from the forwards. But like echo what Geoff said, I don't think our front line is the problem. It's the sort of the midfield and the defence, or having to drag people out of midfield to fill in the gaps in defence and sacrificing our actual control of the midfield. I think that's the issues we've got. In terms of those two, I think regardless of what form either of them on, they're still going to be threats. I think Lacazette at times he can look like he's not in the game, but he can also pick out a good shot and score a goal. And again with Aubameyang, he's not exactly set the world alight in terms of his actual performances, but he's getting the goals. So who really cares? As long as he's scoring goals, that's the main thing.
Good, right. Going forward, is any 3 of you would rather have Cech over Leno in goal? Because I asked this last week and the week before, and everyone.
No, I don't think
Ellis?
so.
No.
You staying with Leno as well?
Leno all day.
Good. He is the future of Arsenal goalkeeping. Anybody got any ideas what we do about our left back issues? Because at the moment we've got our first 2 with hamstring issues, then we've got our third choice well, we don't know who our third choice is really, do we?
One of the things, I don't know whether people have actually realised this, is that there's now very little chat coming out of the Emirates that the club don't want to come out of there. So actually, we don't know if Hector Bellerin is actually unfit or fit. They could be playing mind games with Liverpool there. I think the fact that Nacho and Kolasinac have not even played in the last 2 games is because he probably wants to get them as fit as he possibly can get them for the game against Liverpool. And it wouldn't surprise me if one of them doesn't get 40 or 50 minutes against Blackpool on Wednesday.
Well, you've also got. Don't forget Carl Jenkinson. Is he? I saw he was on the bench, wasn't he? I think for the Leicester game.
Yeah, and he went out to Sporting Lisbon, but you ain't going to put him there against fucking Salah, are we, Geoff?
No, of course not. But I mean, I'm thinking, and if you had that in mind, if you had that in mind, you would have definitely played him a couple of games, to at least give him a little bit of a warm up. But I would have he's a natural defender. I would honestly have him rather than playing Xhaka as a left back, because
I wouldn't, because he's as big a liability than fucking Mustafi is. I remember all the ricks he's made.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd rather him. You put him right back and Lichtsteiner on the left back, and I think you could get away with it. But obviously not against Liverpool, mate. I don't know what you're going to do there.
But I think you'll suddenly find they'll all be fit and recovered for the Liverpool game.
Hope you're right.
All right, final question on the games and the recent ones and the games that are coming up. It says on Physio Room that Bellerin has got a thigh injury, and it says, this is a quote, misses Blackpool being assessed ahead of Liverpool on Saturday. That could be a quote from Jason, for all we know. And it says availability, a major doubt. So we'll start with you, Geoff. Would you go 3 at the back, Holding, Socrates and Mustafi, because it's not really working having makeshifts of fullbacks? Well, I don't think it's working
against Liverpool. You mean?
Yeah,
yeah, definitely. I would lock it down, mate, and I'd
go for the draw.
Yeah, but no, I would send them out there not to concede any goals. You know, try not to concede.
Good luck with us.
Yeah, well, that's what it is. And you know, we might get a breakaway, and we might get something because we've got good forwards. And if they're on the ball, we might nick one. But I would definitely set us up really, really tight. Don't give nothing away. Don't give any space away. I wouldn't play too high because they've got plenty of pace that can get in behind us. And once they do get in behind us, they've got quality players that can finish the ball, you know. So we've just got to be really, really careful. And don't start trying to pass it out. I'd bypass them. Even just like play a long ball, because say, you know, all them fullbacks, if it goes out to them, bang, play a long diagonal and let them fight for it up top and get around Aubameyang and Lacazette and just try and get that ball if it gets knocked down off of one of the centre halves or something. But get the ball in the other end of the pitch, don't want it in our side of the pitch.
Ellis, your thoughts on that? Can we afford to take risks against Liverpool's deadly 3, who are suddenly all back in form at the moment?
Not really, but what I will say is Liverpool will come at us more than other teams. Some teams will try and sort of sit back and soak up the pressure more, whereas Liverpool are going to keep pressing. And I think the best way to beat Liverpool is either soak up the pressure and, like Geoff says, knock it long, beat the press by going over the press, having pace in behind them. And with Aubameyang, you've got that pace. The only sort of issue is Bellerin is one of those pacey players that we'd love to have in there, and if he's not going to be fit, then I think we're going to struggle, because other than Aubameyang and Iwobi, Lacazette, as he's not a slouch, but he's not the fastest. But I think we do lack a bit of pace that's going to offer that chance to sort of beat that press and go over the top. So it can be very difficult. If we were better at playing it out from the back, then it could potentially work more, because a team can't, no matter how well drilled Liverpool are or how fit they are, they're not going to be able to press us for the whole 90 minutes, and we could knacker them out with some good passing. But I just don't trust our back four or our defence to be able to hold on to the ball well enough and pass it around and knacker them out.
We've just got to spoil it. We've just got to spoil their play. You know, just keep knocking the ball long, you know. But get over that press. That's what the first thing you've got to do, because they've got quality players all over the pitch, and they.
Well, I've been watching them quite a bit recently, because I'm unfortunately seeing as when they won the fucking Champions League last time, they had that fucking idiot Dudek in goal. So I'm afraid to tell you that there's a lot of Polish fucking Liverpool fans, and they're on Canal Plus a lot. I haven't been that impressed with them this season. I think they've been very fortuitous. They've stopped playing that gegenpress. They, even in the Champions League, they're finding life easier in the Champions League than they are in the Premiership, actually. Although they're beating teams because teams make stupid errors against them. I watched them play Cardiff, who are probably the worst team in the Premiership, bar Huddersfield at the weekend. What was interesting to me was that Huddersfield denied them space, and Huddersfield sat a little bit deep, and they didn't allow them. Because what Liverpool do is what they want is they want you to defend high, and they want to harass you when you're trying to play out from the back and overload you and gang up on you with all that pace and razz you quickly and get 2 or 3 nil up versus, you know, Sane and Salah. But Cardiff didn't let them do that. They sat a bit deeper. They played the ball themselves around. And what was really interesting is Cardiff got in behind them a lot. And Cardiff haven't got any quality. They ain't got the quality crosses we've got, and they ain't got the quality forwards. But Cardiff still scored a very good goal against them. And, you know, there was a lot there, if you're the Arsenal coaching team, to think, actually, there's a lot there that can be exploited. My main worry about that game is that first of all, possible injuries, leaving us lacking in key areas. But the other problem is that we make a lot of fucking mistakes when we start games. And Bernd Leno has kept us in games with saves and stuff. You know, we've been pushing our luck in some games, to be honest. And I think this is not a game you can push your luck in, if you know what I mean. But I think there's definitely something there where we can say there are opportunities to exploit, getting in behind them. And this is another thing, Geoff's talking about going long. This is something else I noticed, that the Cardiff keeper was kicking the ball out, not so it was in the air by the time it got to the centre half, Geoff. So it was just on the floor. So straight at the forwards feet, that's exactly where Van Dijk don't want it. Because if you've got a player like Aubameyang or Lacazette gets the ball then with quick feet, or even Mkhitaryan, he's minced because he can't fucking he can't touch them. The minute they get in the box, he can't put a foot on them because, if he does, it can be a disaster. And that keeper as well, he got caught out as well. Ellis, you got something to say?
Yeah, just a quick question. You made a really good point about how, like, the Liverpool team, the way they feed off his mistakes and how we are quite weak to mistakes and they try and hit you with the press in the first half. Given how not poor or how poor we've played in first half, it's been a theme for this Arsenal side since Unai Emery's taken charge. How much is that going to be a problem for us if we start slow and they start as good as they can start?
I think it's like to go back to under Arsene Wenger. Arsenal were a bit Jekyll and Hyde under Arsenal. They'd be really bollocks. No, I'm playing after the Champions League or after International Week, slow, sluggish. But if they had a big game, and it was a game the players were up for, really up for it, they were surprisingly in a different class to what you'd expect them to be. And I think the thing is because the players are confident, because they're unbeaten, I think they'll be told, don't fucking try passes that are, anywhere near anybody. Don't do anything risque. I think they will sharpen their act up. I think, Liverpool will try and throw the kitchen sink at us. We just got to try and hold the kitchen sink back. And I think if that's one of the reasons why I said earlier on, I think that's why Socrates will be back in and Mustafi will be out.
Okie dokie, right. That's and as for my point of view on this, I think we should go 3 at the back, like Geoff said, and just try and be solid and don't let anything go. Just let Socrates have 5 minutes with Mustafi before the game, and then at half time, just to grab a certain part of his anatomy and say, "You fuck this up, and I'm going to murder you, and you'll never play for the Arsenal again." All right, Steve. Listeners' questions.
Yeah, some of these questions we've actually already dealt with in the podcast.
I know we can't do that, can we? Because I can't edit the questions as we go along. So I have to just go over some of them again. But go on.
Right, we'll come back to the first 2 in a minute. Yeah. Jonas82 says, "What do you think needs to change for us to start games better? Do you think it may compromise our second half surge? What do you reckon, Geoff?"
I don't know. I just think it's a thing at the moment with Arsenal. I don't know why they should come out, because you should be up for every single game. I think they're just letting the game go by rather than, I mean, you remember the old days, mate. We'd ruin teams in the first 20 minutes. We'd be up and at them, boom, 2 or 3-0 up.
Game over
in our glory years, yeah. And but we're just starting very, very slow, aren't we? But you never know. You get into the second half of the season, it might change around. We might be bang on in the first half and rubbish in the second half. So you just never know. But I don't think they do it. They're not deliberate about it. They don't just say, well, let's play it nice and slowly and quietly in the first half. They're just going to go for it anyway, and it's just the way it happens, mate. I think.
Mm-hmm. Ellis, what do you think?
I think it's. I don't think it's. I just think it's a product of how we've started to play. We'll play a bit more, I think, safer in the first half. We'll try passing out from the back. And I think the improvement in our fitness, or the squad's fitness as a whole, makes us just that bit more dangerous in the second half. I definitely don't think they're doing it on purpose. I just think it's a case of just the way games go, the way, if you play it out from the back, you do tire out teams. Because if teams are going to try and press you and they can't get the ball, and you're letting the ball do the work and they're just running around their legs, they're naturally going to get tired. And the fact as well is another theme that seems to be is the subs he's making, whether you say it's a mistake that he's made in the start of the lineup or whether you just think it's like a stroke of genius to pick the right subs. The subs are making a good impact when they come on. We obviously had the games a couple of games ago where Aubameyang and Ramsey both came on and got goals and assists. Like, they were proper impact subs. And I think that helps a lot. We've got players on our bench that can damage teams. And when teams are tired, and we get in the groove as well. Another thing, the goals seem to come in clusters. I don't think it's anything that's done on purpose. I just think it's the way it's happened. I think it's sort of a necessity. And to try and answer the question that Jonas has asked, I don't know how you improve that. I don't know if it's a case of we are still sort of iron out the sort of creases in our building out from the back or our general play. We're still trying to get on top of it. Or if it's just a case of the fact that we are generally a fitter team than what we used to be now. I don't know. I don't know what we can change, basically. Sorry, Jonas, I can't answer your question.
I think we're definitely fitter than everybody else in the league, because you can see that in the last 10 minutes of the games. Any thoughts on that, Dan?
Well, yeah, he's inherited a Wenger side that won one away game last season, had one of the worst defensive records in modern Arsenal history for me, and he's having to take all of those people and retrain them, and sometimes he has to wait till half time to see what's going on before he can make the changes. So when you look at the fact that we've played 14 games this season, Bellerin has missed 4. Monreal has missed 4, Socrates has missed 5. Now, if we had our full strength backline, then maybe we wouldn't be conceding as many, but that's modern football, where you get players that get injuries, and we just have to go out there and win games by shooting more. So we just have to shoot more or defend more.
You know, I saw a stat the other week that most of the most of the teams that win the league over the course of the season have 80% of their back line playing together for 80% of the games and something like that. Whereas us already, we've had players all over the place, haven't we? Our defence has been ripped to shreds really, with different players coming out and in of the team. So, but again, he's trying to find his best team, isn't he? You know, I don't think he knows his best 11 yet either. I really don't.
I think this. I think you'll find that as a manager, he'll buck a trend. He won't have a best team, because he changes his team to suit whoever he's playing. He changes his tactics to suit whoever he's playing. You can see him doing that in every game. And talking of defence, Ardash says, if Montreal, Bellerin and Kolasinac are not fit, wait for it, should we play 3 at the back with, hold the furniture, gentlemen, Iwobi and Mkhitaryan as wing-backs against Liverpool?
Jesus Christ.
Geoff, go on, do you want to...
You can't do that, mate. That's absolute suicide, isn't it? You can't do that. You can do that. You can do it against Blackpool tomorrow night, but you can't.
I almost felt that I should give out Samaritan's number after reading that out.
Yeah, no, you can't do that.
Are we being trolled?
I think someone's taking the piss.
I think he's been puffing the kid, but there you go.
And talking of taking,
what are they smoking over there?
Yeah, and talking of taking the piss, here's Schwinn. What's our ideal CB pairing if Holding, Socrates and Musty are all fit? Ellis?
Holding and Socrates. Sorry, Jason, don't come find me and hurt me.
Dan?
I just looked up a quick stat. The last season we conceded 51 goals in the league. The last time we conceded more than 51 goals in the league was 83-84. We conceded 60, and Tony Woodcock was our top goal scorer. That is the defence he's working with.
What the fuck has that got to do with the question I just asked?
I'm just referring back to my previous one, and my answer is play all 3 of them. That's my centre back pairing of those 3. But he's not working with much, is he?
Right, here we go. Noir Confidential, he usually has good questions. He says, how long do you think it's going to be before people start to complain that Leno can't save a penalty?
Yeah. You know, when there was 2 penalties of the week, and the second one, I thought, hopefully he can stop the run before it even starts, you know? Because you do think about it, don't you? But, it won't be long, will it, mate? It won't be long.
Did he put them both in the same part of the net?
No.
Pen.
No, he got a hand to the second
one.
Yeah,
he did. He did. Both the same place, wasn't it? One was a little bit stronger than the other one. But listen, we've got to stop giving the penalties away. That's what we've got to do, rather than blame the goalkeeper. You know what I mean?
Yes, indeed. Our fans, some of our fans leave a lot to be desired. I see poor old Mustafi put out a very nice, condolences and sympathy tweet, which is obviously very heartfelt about the Leicester tragedy, and the abuse that was underneath it from some of our so-called fans.
Shocking, mate.
Just
Unbelievable.
Absolutely despicable. And to be honest, if that's what you think is appropriate to write crap like that, you ain't an Arsenal fan, so fuck off out of it.
Shocking.
They're not fans, they're just
right. Here's the last question, and this one we can give to Ellis, but we'll all answer it. Destructible Cake says he apologises for the blasphemy, but a few thoughts of the panel on the joke of a pitch at Wembley on Monday and why the FA seems so reluctant to enforce their own rules on certain clubs. And do Arsenal deserve more credit the way they handled the Emirates move? #fuck Ellis.
What sort of a name is Destructible Cake anyway?
Well, exactly.
Great question, though. Yeah, the cheek of what's his face, the Tottenham manager saying, "Oh, blame the loss on the pitch, Pochettino." Well, that's your own fault for not his own fault. I don't think he has any much say in the stadium move, but it's your own fault in your shit club not being able to sort out your move in time. You can't complain on the state of a pitch that you shouldn't even be playing on by now because you should be in your actual new home that looks like a fucking toilet. But hey ho, I digress. Yeah, I think Arsenal should be credited in the way they moved. Like the way they did it was similar sort of time when the new Wembley was being built, and that had so many delays in it as well. Arsenal just seemed to get on about business and moved in straight away, and it was a seamless change. Yes, we had a couple of barren years where our best players left and we couldn't afford.
You mean a couple? You mean a decade?
All right, I was just trying to put a shine on it. But yeah.
Imagine what the FA would have done to us if we'd have been played at 3 home grounds in one season.
They wouldn't have allowed it.
No, there'd have been massive points deduction or destruction, and
But you know what it is. Tottenham are the media love child. They are the FA love child. They love them so much. They've got a lot of English players in there. They seem to get praised for all the sort of success they've had, but the same sort of success they'd be praised for is the same sort of stuff they'd use to beat Arsene Wenger with. It's a joke, really, but at the end of the day, who gives a flying fuck? Like, they're having their best start to the season. We're still ahead of them. Fuck them. I don't think they'll get top 4, and I hope they go into administration after their massive fuck up with their stadium.
I mean, as the host, I shouldn't really be sort of saying much on this, but having read their latest financial statement to shareholders and banks, I must admit, after I stopped fucking rolling around on the floor and laughing, that they are in the deepest crap and mire out, because they've now got loans and debt facilities of over £1 billion. They've had to sign off commercial revenue deals which are inferior till 10 and 15 years time ahead. They've sacrificed their TV revenue. They've got fans cancelling season tickets. That thing's not going to be open until next season, or not going to be open before the end of the year. That's certain, at the slightest. And they reckon that they're going to get all the debt and put it all in a bond and get all the money from some institutional investors, just as Brexit happens. Yes, good luck with that. Anyway, after mentioning stinking up the listeners' questions with vile Middlesex vermin stuff, I will now pass you back to Daniel to go to. We've got the Fifes Forum, Ruse. Where is it?
I've been asking Ellis for the last 5 minutes, Ellis, in the chat box. Do you want to ask these fucking questions? But you're not looking at the box.
I'm sorry, I've just seen it. I can ask the questions if you like.
Oh, there you go.
Get on with it, you six-fingered individual.
Bloody seamless. Jeff's got stuff to be doing. Get a wiggle on.
Oh, just leave me alone. Right.
Touching you,
Look, mate, you're in the podcast now. You're not on the sofa at home because the wife's locked you out for being pissed up again. So get on with it.
Whoa,
or ruining the roast.
Those wounds are still very tender. Let's keep them under wraps, shall we?
Slow beef. Say no more.
Right, let's move swiftly along. Fifes Forum. So the question was, I think, did I go on this question?
Yes, you did.
I did. What is your favourite kit and why? So here's a few answers. Miko's put, I've been following Arsenal for about 19 years, so I don't have a real connection to sort of the older teams or shirts. So his favourite one has to be the Golden Sega one because of the football we played in 2002, and obviously because of Wiltord, or that Wiltord goal. Plus, he really loved Dreamcast.
Dreamcast.
But that was a hell of a show. I did love that, and obviously the Wiltord goal means a lot to a lot of fans. Another one from Schwinn, a regular sort of questioner asker. He put the red currant one is also his favourite, and also the Last Night kit. I can't remember what the Last Night kit was. Was it the one with the red and blue bands on the arm? Is that one?
Could well be.
Who knows? Jonas, again, another regular who asks questions. He says the Bordeaux shirt with O2 as a sponsor brings back memories. What shirt's that one?
Isn't that the one that we only wore once?
Yeah, I think it's the one we wore on the last day.
No, I mean, we only wore it once away in Europe. If only Chris was here, he'd know. He's probably got a dozen of them stuffed under his bed.
Probably. And then we've got May. Oh my God, I'm going to do
Just call him Mike. That's what he says. Call it your lad. Call him Mike.
Nagendran. He says the Golden Sega shirt reason, Will Tord, which again, another great reason. And FPL, whoever that may be, it's quite a short name. He says the new Adidas one.
Oh,
and that is the end of the answers to Fives Forum.
So what's your Geoff? What's your favourite Arsenal shirt? I doubt you very much that you buy much shirts anymore, do you?
No, I've never been a man for buying football shirts. To be honest with you, only for I've been recently wearing them at cup finals, and that's it. We've had plenty of them, mate. I hope we have plenty of them in the future. But my favourite shirt was Charlie George, mate. 1971 cup final. Never forget it.
Oh, Steve, have you got one?
Yeah, I would have said the 71 cup final, yellow and blue. But I also really liked the blue banana, and the green and blue kit is sort of a collector's item. Some people like, some people don't.
Oh, the Lee Chapman one.
Yeah, you didn't have to mention his name, Mr. Wife. What's it? But yeah,
watch yourself.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I had to change the last word.
Watch yourself.
But it's quite funny because when me and Geoff were like young lads, you really struggled to buy kits, didn't you, Geoff? They weren't they weren't really commercially available, and they weren't cheap.
And there weren't no schnides going about either.
No, there were no schnides going about. I mean, the club shop was a fucking green shed run by Len. Who was it run by? The ex-goalkeeper run by down by the clock end there. Yeah. You never find a shirt in there.
Yeah, Kelsey.
That's right. You never find a shirt in there. I mean, it's like the Bruce Banana kit. At the time when that came out, everyone fucking hated it. And it's only since yonks later on it became sort of a cult thing. So that's why now if you buy one second hand, it costs a bundle.
Have you seen the mock-up Adidas one of it though? It looks bang on. Yeah. I love it.
No, there's one kid. He's done a yellow one with Lacazette, and he's done a black and red pink one, and a red and white one. They are brilliant. The ones they've done. But I had a JVC Adidas top, a Golden Sega top, and then my daughter started getting into the kit, so she's like stolen everything. She's got my Bruce Banana kit. She wears it in bed. She's 18 now.
Bless her.
Won't be
Ellis,
getting that back.
What's yours?
You'll have to enlighten me what season it's from, because I was quite young when it was out. But it's the one. It's an Adidas kit. Okay. It's the one with the Adidas like logo in the middle of it, with the big sort of V-neck, and on the white. It's the home kit on the white sleeves.
That would have been the late 80s, mid to late 80s.
I think that's my oldest memory of my dad wearing that kit, and I've seen photos of Ian Wright in it when he was quite young and starting at the club, but I can't for the life of me.
Is that home or away? Oh, what, on the sleeve?
Shirt. Home shirt.
Yeah.
JVC sponsor.
Yeah.
Blue and red on the sleeves, but that's sort of like diagonal.
92, 94 home.
92, 94. Love that shirt.
Yeah.
Okay, my favourite one is probably going to be the Dreamcast one. That's the last time I could get a shirt that fitted.
Yeah, same here.
And my favourite away one is the Nicholas Bentner 0708, the burgundy and white. I just love the look of that kit. If only Chris was here, we could do 3 hours on the kits. But I did quite like the 16-17, the neon yellow and black one. I thought that looked really cool. But it depends what you're doing, whether you're going to a football game or whether you're wearing it out for you're going out for something to eat, or just wandering around the house. There's many different places where you might and might not wear a shirt, I suppose.
Should not be allowed to go out in a football shirt to eat.
No, not a grown man. No. Shouldn't be allowed. No. Right, that's it then.
The ex-missus used to have that top. She looked very fetching in it, I have to say.
Oh, I've got a picture of Sian in her mummy's belly, and her mum's wearing the Dreamcast top. So even after her being 9 months pregnant and wearing it, I still couldn't fit into it. Right, so where are we up to now then? I think that's everything we've done. We just got to go to the gentleman's nods. So we'll start with Ellis, because Ellis knows what he's going to do.
We didn't mention Blackpool.
Arsenal are losing at the moment, actually. We're playing Cheltenham Town, who are rock bottom of League 2. We're losing 3-1 at their place. And Zelalem's on the bench. So is Cohen Bramall.
No.
Getting a game. Yeah, so there's nothing to talk about Blackpool, really, so we save that for next week, because no one will remember or care by then in the Tin Pot Cup. Ellis, what's your... do you want to talk about your Movember?
Yeah, so it's not really a shout out per se, but I thought I'd say that to the end bit. Basically, I don't know if the listeners are aware, but at Movember, there's a thing called Movember, which is the Movember Foundation. They're doing a couple of things this year. The first one is the obvious thing that they've done for a while, which is grow your mustache for Movember. And it's basically sort of a way raise awareness for people with testicular cancer, prostate cancer, mental health, and also suicidal prevention in men, or just men's health in general, because us as blokes, I don't know what the other guys are like here, but we're not great at talking about our health or seeking out help, and especially for mental health, men aren't great at seeking out help when they need to. So I thought it'd be a good idea to try is the key word, grow my mustache for Movember and raise awareness. So I've made a sort of donation page. I've also created a Bergkamp Wonderland podcast group, which you can join if you want to do so yourself. Again, you don't have to grow a mustache. I think John might do it. There's another thing you can do, which is called Move for Movember. And you have to run or walk, or however you want to do it, 60 kilometres in the month of November, which is for the 60 men that apparently commit suicide every hour, which I thought was quite a high stat, really. It's quite scary that many
worldwide?
People worldwide, 60 men an hour apparently commit suicide.
Oh, you know what I think you should do, Dan? I don't want to put a joke on there, really, but I think you should you try and jump over 3 cars or something in that wheelchair you got, eh?
There is a bloke on YouTube. He goes down a ramp, does a 360 in the air, then lands on his wheels again. No, not
for you.
Heights. No, not going to do it. So we'll put all that stuff on our Twitter if anybody wants to go and do it, and then and join up. Is there anything else you want to add to that, Ellis?
No, that's about it. Yeah, obviously you can tweet the link, but there's a group for the Bergkamp Wonderland. So if you join, any sort of donation you make will also go towards the group target as well.
And what are we doing with the money? We're giving it to 2 different places, aren't we? Or are you? I say we. You're doing it.
Well, it's going to Movember, so it'll go straight to them. But we were thinking of doing other ideas which were not certain about, perhaps another FIFA 24-hour thing where we can split the money and send it elsewhere.
Bloody hell, I think I did about 5 minutes to the last one and I was worn out. Jeff, have you got anyone you would like to give a gentleman's nod to?
Yeah, well, an absolute gentleman, the one and only Raj Patel, 1809. I'll leave that with you.
Oh, Raji Poo. Steve, have you got anything? Apart from being on mute. No, he's not on mute. He's got a dodgy headset. His computer keeps.
No, I'm here. I sat on my fucking mute button.
Story of my life.
I've got a shout out for Tom Ragg, who's a regular listener. He's at Taxi Tom 83. He describes himself as dad, gunner, grafter, textrovert, chauffeur to the working class. This is the poor bloke who was just getting in some right stuck-up lady client into his cab the other week, and he was playing the podcast just as I went into my Patrick Vieira whacking people between the eyes with his 14-inch cock routine.
And that's my mum's favourite bit, by the way.
Is it? Splendid business. We were talking this afternoon about the evility of seagulls and them thieving food out of people's hands and doing the bins outside KFC. And he was repulsed at my suggestion that after Brexit he'd be eating herring and roast potatoes for Sunday lunch. So yeah, Tom's a good laugh, really funny bloke. So you can find him at Taxi Tom 83, top man.
Oh. Jolly good. Everyone's eating pigeon. Right, and my gentleman's nod, as always, go to all you wonderful people who have been chucking us so much money over the last few weeks. It's been quite weird. Timmy Toby AN, I think, is in Australia. Yvonne Okofor is in England. Alan Wilby is in England. Corey Searles, I think he's in England, and Stefan chucked us some money via PayPal because he said otherwise YouTube will nick 30% of it. And so yeah, thank you very much for you lot. We've had a very good month, and so I'm going to go and spend the entire lot on Toblerone. Right, upcoming shows. I think it's me, Jason, and John tomorrow night. I've got no real idea because I've had to look through the live chat and I can't find it, the WhatsApp group. But then
is the bullying monitor on there as well?
No, there've been no. Yeah, Dom, because he's head of ABW complaints, and so far this year I've made 3 complaints, all against Dom, and he's not upheld a single one of them. So the Liverpool game is going to be Dom, John, and Jason. The Lisbon game is going to be, it's me, Josh, and Jason to host. So that's the upcoming shows that we've got. Is there anything else I've forgotten to do? Because there usually is, because I've not eaten yet today.
How are we going to get on tomorrow night, Dan?
I should think Blackpool. Where are they in the league? Anyone know?
Dear, mate.
God knows.
By the seaside.
Does anybody even know what division they're in?
I don't know, but there's a lot of earthquakes up there due to fracking, which is just recently started again and had to be put a stop to.
Yeah,
Luckily, they're playing it at the Emirates, so.
I'm just looking here. Blackpool are 12th in League One, just ahead of Charlton and just below Southend. They've won 5, drawn 7, and lost 2. I suppose it's their away record we need to be looking at. Oh, that's lovely stuff. They've moved. The 16th. They've won 1 game away from home all season. Yeah, we should beat them 4-0. There you go. Anyone else care about the tomorrow night's game? Will everybody be watching it?
No, you won't be watching.
I'll be there. I'll be there, mate. I'm there.
You're going?
Yes, mate. Yeah, I'll go all them games.
Look at that dedication.
All them home games, definitely.
It's like £10 a ticket at the moment, aren't they? £10 for adults, £5 for children. So
love it.
Tickets are still available.
It won't be on the TV, will it? Because it'll be Derby Chelsea on.
I've still got some club level tickets available, mate, for that. So if anyone wants, you get a club level ticket, free refreshments at half time. I mean, some people it might be good for them because they don't get a chance to go into the club level. £45, and you get a free stadium tour and museum tour and £5 per person off a club purchase. There's a little plug there, wasn't it? Eh?
You might even give them a cheeky back rub at half time.
Yeah, come on. Got to be worth £45 to meet me in person, big ugly mug, eh?
Hey.
I might be able to charge an extra tenner for a photograph if I was with the fan TV mob.
Or if they don't want to pay you, threaten them with a photograph of Jason. They'll definitely give you the tenner then for you not to give them a picture of Jason.
Well, I'll just send Jason down there to turn up anyway. He can make out he's me.
Oh dear, he's a very angry man. Right then, gentlemen, I think that is tonight's podcast all over and done with. It's been about an hour and 40 minutes, a little bit longer, but I did waffle on with too much stats because Steve wasn't happy about that, were you, Steve?
No.
Get on with it.
Mogadon.
Right, so while I got you there, Steve, thank you very much for joining us tonight. I hope you are enjoying the cold weather with your triple glazed window.
Well, I would be, but it's 21 fucking degrees, so I'm feeling a bit cheated, to be honest.
Well, it says it's 5 degrees here. That's not right.
Well, it is now, but it wasn't earlier on. It'll be 18 tomorrow, so.
Oh, lucky you. Right, Ellis, thank you very much. It's nice for you to turn up and not have to have run off and do something else, like paint yourself up as some kind of clown and scare children. Hated that picture.
We'll turn the beef off.
Yeah, there's no appliances you've actually turned off tonight, is there, Ellis?
No, I was about to say thank you for having me and for being on with 2 lovely gentlemen, but after Steve's comment, I'd like to retract that and not say it at all and say thank you for having me on.
And thank you very much.
Sort of.
Thank you very much, and thank you very much, Geoff.
Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure, mate. Thank you very much.
You got any plans to go anywhere warm?
No, just like I said, just come back from Turkey. I suppose the next one will be in November. I think we're going to Dubai.
Oh, bless you. I don't know if anybody wants to chuck Geoff any money to help with this, because it can't be easy for him. Bless him, poor old boy. Anyway, people, thank you very much for listening. This has been a Bergkamp Wonderland, an Arsenal podcast. Come on, you cheeky monkeys. I don't know how to end that. Well then, people, here we are with part 2. You have been graced in part 2. Steve and Ellis have decided to hang around only so Steve can tell me to get on with it, and Ellis can abuse me from the sidelines. It's very kind of you two to stop by for this boring bit that most people don't bother with. We'll start off with we're playing in the EFL Trophy. The under-21s away at Cheltenham. Right now, it's in the 82nd minute. We had a player sent off after 7 minutes, Robbie Burton, I think he's playing in midfield. So then they scored in the 8th. Then they got a yellow card in the 9th. Then they scored again in the 32nd. Then John Jules scored in the 35th minute. Then they scored in the 48th, 51st. And we scored, Charlie Gilmore scored a penalty in the 66th minute. So Freddie Lundberg, if he had hair, he's probably pulling it out. Because that's Cheltenham, a 23rd out of 24 in League Two. We should be going there and smashing those about 15-0. It's annoying, isn't it?
I wonder. I haven't seen the team, but I wonder if any of the players that he normally would see in that side have been removed because they might be playing against Blackpool.
I can answer that. So the for move on to the under-23s, we played Swansea away at Swansea on the 26th. That game we went 1-0 down just before half time, and then Charlie Gilmore scored again in the 78th minute. And so comparing, that's the one that Maitland-Niles played 68 minutes before he came off, and Bramall still didn't play then, hasn't played tonight. But comparing the two teams, they've both got Iliev in goal, left back Bowler, and left back is Thompson at the weekend. So he's rested Thompson, then Medley and Ballard at the back, Medley and Ballard at the back again. Right back was Olayinka, who was right back there. Peguazelo, maybe they haven't put the things forward properly, but yeah, it's Gilmore, Coyle, and Nikita on the Swansea game, and it's Gilmore, Coyle, and Olayinka with John Jules. It's virtually the same team. So your answer is no.
Oh well,
that's a shame. Yeah, are we expecting much from the Blackpool game? We are expecting to beat them, aren't we?
We're expecting to beat him, but I'm also hoping that he doesn't go out and play a full strength side because they don't need to, and the players need the rest after, basically 3 games in 6 days last week. So,
well, according to George Bird's website, he says Willock, Julio, unpronounceable, and Ketia, Smith Rowe all trained with the first team ahead of the Blackpool game. He says Arsenal held their final first team training session ahead of tomorrow night's Carabao Cup game at home to Blackpool with 4 youngsters in attendance. I just read out who they were. The quartet are set to be left out of the under-21 side that will take on Cheltenham Town in the Chick-a-Treat Trophy tonight. So there you go.
Do you think all 4 will feature, or?
I think they'll get some game time.
Yeah, I think that.
I think
really.
Yeah, I think Maitland-Niles will get some game time as well, won't he? I think he might want to play him against the bin dippers. So
do you think it's going to be he's going to play someone like Welbeck up front, or do you think he gives a damn about the League Cup?
He might probably. If I was, he might play Eddie up front. The thing is this. I was thinking about this the other day. Eddie Nketiah is a real shit hot prospect, and he was getting regular sub appearances for the first team under Wenger, and he was quite prominent in pre-season. But obviously, he's not getting a look in because of Lacazette and Aubameyang. But it seems obviously that Welbeck's in front of him in the queue. Now, given that Welbeck's contract's not getting renewed, might well be a good idea to start giving Eddie Nketiah some game time, because otherwise, if he doesn't, he's going to get the arsehole. He's going to want to go walkies, isn't he? He was a player that we stole off of Chelsea. And the primary reason we got him from Chelsea?
Yeah, in 2015.
Yeah, no game time. So that's something to watch out for there.
Well, last season he played 3 Premier League games, 1 what's the domestic cup? 1 FA Cup, League Cup, that Norwich game, 1 goal, 2 goals, and then in the Europa League he played 5, so 10 appearances and 2 goals this season. He has done nothing. But I'm just looking at his. He's got a very, very impressive youth record for the under 18s. He got 4 goals in 2 for England. And the under-19s, 8 in 8. Under-20s, 3 in 3. The under-21s, 2 in 4. Fucking hell. That's not bad, is it?
I think Steve makes a good point. I think if we don't see him in this game, then we're not not even starting, I don't see him at all. Realistically, we're probably not going to see him in any games in the future. But it's hard to predict, isn't it? Because you sort of knew what Arsene Wenger was going to do when it came to picking teams. He'd always play sort of the youngsters in this competition. But with Emery, I'm not sure if he's going to be the sort of guy that's like goes hard for every competition so he can make sure he wins a trophy in his first season.
That's it.
Or if he is going to completely rotate the team and play some of the youngsters. But going back to the Eddie Nketiah thing, like Steve says, he's come from Chelsea to come here to get for more game time. And if he doesn't get it in this game, he'd probably seriously consider whether he needs to go on loan or go elsewhere to get it.
Well, I mean, he is the sort of player that could do a Reece Nelson and go to the Bundesliga if he could find a side that wanted him.
He's quite, what I would say about him, physically, he doesn't seem like he's quite there in his development yet.
No, yeah.
That age.
Absolutely, yeah.
But it's odd that Tyrone, oh God, I know I'd mess his bloody name up. Where's his, no, it's not that one. That's annoying. I've forgotten his name. The Ministry of Sound. What's his name? Yeah, Tyrese John Jules.
Yeah.
He's only 17, and he's come up from playing. He's playing for the under 18s, the under 21s, and the under 23s at the moment. And this season alone, I'm just going to look at his stats. He's only 17, and he has played 3 goals in 2 games for the under 18s, 1 in 5 for the under 23s, and he's playing tonight up front for the under 21s and scored a goal. Just refresh the page, see if he's scored another 3 or 4. That'd be lovely. No, it's still 4-2. Oh no, it's 5-2 now. No, for fuck's sake! Fucking, that's done. I think that's done. Is it Dejan Iliev? Yeah, Dejan Iliev.
Yeah, they are playing with 10 men, and they have got most of their best players missing. So you can't,
Yeah. Oh, Zelalem came on. He came on for Bowler after 63 minutes.
He's alive still, then.
Yeah, that's good to see. Next thing we need to go and have a look at is that under 23 game where we drew 1-1 with Swansea, who played in the first team. Maitland-Niles played. That's it, really.
Conservative.
Yeah. Both the no, that's not right. Yeah, so in that league we are now 4th on 16 points, and Everton have got 18. So I'm going to close out that window so I don't keep going back to it. And that one I don't need. And this one is the under 18 Premier League. We've not played since the 20th. The Spuds are top with 22 points. We're next with 21. And our next game is away at Swansea, and Swansea are 11th. Bad luck for you, Ellis. Norwich are bottom of that league. They've conceded 30 goals in 8 games. That's terrible, isn't it? This is not right.
But I bet that Norwich youth team's got their own stadium, unlike a bunch of fucking vagrants in the fucking Wembley area, if I could mention.
Yeah, they might actually borrow Norwich's stadium if this continues. Poor fuckers. Actually, no, fuck them.
More stadiums than trophies, mate.
Yeah, they can have no stadiums and still have more than they have trophies. The bit that is keeping me happy this season is the Women's Super League. Arsenal went away to Bristol City and we absolutely smashed them 4-0. Jordan Nobbs, Viviane Miedema. Have I said that right, Steve?
Viviane Miedema, yeah.
Oh, she scored a couple. Oh. And then Van de Donk scored one. I watched the highlights on Women's Match of the Day, whatever it's called. And I didn't realise just what kind of player that Miedema is. That I thought she'd be a nippy little Ian Wright kind of thing. She's not. She's a big, tall lady. She reminds me of... does anybody watch Taskmaster?
No.
Oh, the tall woman on there, a little bit stretched out and very much a handful to try and deal with, and so she's quite strong, quite tall, or very tall for. And I wonder if it says here how tall she is.
The thing is,
175. What's that?
Oh, that's not that tall. It's about 5'6'7". That is.
Is it?
No, 5'8".
Oh, 175. It's 5'8". And no, almost 5'9".
Yeah,
bloody hell, women footballers are small because she's towering over everyone. What were you going to say?
But she's not. You've got to put this into perspective. She ain't a gangly lump up front who's just like bunding balls in. She's a very quick, fast-footed,
yes,
very multi-talented player who has got unbelievable skill with her body in the air. During that game, there was a game against Reading. You started to feel sorry for some of them players. They were getting absolutely scenes. Van Donk had 3 of them trying to mark her out on the touchline at one point by the right-hand corner flag. She nutmegged a lot of them. She nutmegged 2 of them and 360 the final one. Whacked the ball in, and Miedema's jumped up. You think, oh, she's going to head this in. No, she side-footed it in at head height to the defender into the top right-hand corner. She's a phenomenal striker, phenomenal finish rate. And I think one of the great things from the women's team is they take a lot of strength from being part of Arsenal, and you can see it's very important to Arsenal. They fund it, and we've got some bloody great players in there. And the manager they got was
Joe,
yeah,
as I now call him.
Yeah, brilliant interview, but with by Tim Stilberto with him, and also a very good interview with Stilberto with Viviane Miedema online on Arsblog as well. So if you haven't seen them, go and have a dig it out. You can watch.
Sorry to interrupt you, Kieran.
You can watch a lot of these FA Women's League games on the BBC Red Button as well live. Just watch out
in HD.
No, but just watch for Tim Stillman and Arsenal. Follow Arsenal ladies on Twitter, and they'll tell you when they're on the red button, and you can go and watch them on there. They smashed Chelsea to pieces. That Arsenal lady it was brilliant.
Yeah, they scored a lot of goals as well, didn't they? With Arsenal ladies, I think there's 6 games they've played, and they've got 31 goals. So that's like more than 5 goals a game.
Well, Mia Dima scored a hat-trick for Arsenal on the Thursday, scored a hat-trick for Netherlands at the weekend, and then came back and put 2 more in the net the midweek game after.
So this season, she's got, like you were saying, a hat-trick against Liverpool, a hat-trick against Lewis, which I've said, which I keep calling lose, and then a hat-trick against Reading. And then we beat Chelsea 5-0 at their place, the current champions. I don't like her manager. Her manager reminds me of, a female.
It doesn't matter. Get on with it, because you're only going to say something completely.
No, it wasn't. No, there's a bloke. Oh, female Paul Merson. That's what she reminds me of. Got the same way of talking and the same good manager though. But yeah, look at a female Paul Merson. So update on the Arsenal under-21s. It's now 6-2. We're just letting a 91st minute one, and I think they're in the 3rd minute of. I'll just refresh the page. So it's finished 6-2. We got away with that with a slight drubbing, but yeah, like you're saying, some of the players are in the. Playing against Blackpool tomorrow. Just having a look in there. Cheltenham. They've luckily Cheltenham lost their first game, and Forest Green, they played against Coventry and they lost to Coventry. We beat Coventry 3-1, so it's all very much tied there. Anybody can still go through, and our next game is against Forest Green Rovers on the 7th of November, and if we win that, then we are through to the next round. And what we can do now, so we've done that one. As you were saying, Ellis, the Women's League, Arsenal are now top, 3 points ahead of Man City with a game in hand. We scored 31 goals in 6 games. And we've got the top goal scorer, Vivienne, has got 11 in 6. And then Jordan Nobbs has got 6. And Van der Donk has got 5, but I don't think she's played every game. So it's that's wonderful to see. Quick update on the injuries. Bellerin, it says he could be back on the 3rd of November. He's a major doubt for the weekend. El Neni, which I didn't even know he was injured. He's got a hamstring injury. Expecting to return to full training in 2 weeks. So that's going to be the mid to late November. Monreal and Kolasinac both the same with hamstring injury. Both 31st of October, late fitness tests. So hopefully one of those will be ready for Liverpool at the weekend. Mavropanos, groin strain, expected to return to full training in November, it says here. And then old Captain Cos, Achilles injury. It's going to be late November before he even starts training properly. Any thoughts on any of that lot?
Well, we've seen Cos was training with the first team. So there's videos of him. But it'll be a long wait before he comes back, I suspect.
It's got a quote here. It says, "I want to come back when I am fully ready." So that means to the first team, not fully back to full training then. If he's already training, that's good. So that means he could be the end of November. I thought that might mean he starts his training back in the end of November. That's a good sign. Do you think he'll use him sparingly and ease him back in like we did with Ramsey last season, where he's going to be coming on for 10 minutes here and 10 minutes there? He's not going to chuck him straight back in, is he?
No. What do you reckon, Ellis?
You can't just chuck him in because he's just going to be fragile, bless him. I don't think, like you said, Steve, earlier in the podcast, that there's rumours about him potentially going elsewhere in January, and I can see it happening because I think compared to Mustafi, I'd rather have Koscielny in the team, but I would never want to rely on him. So it would either be a case of getting him out in January, releasing some funds and getting someone else in, or just letting him go in the following summer. I just think he'll be useful while we've got him, but you just can't rely on someone with an injury record like that so late in his career.
So do you think with that injury, cold weather is going to irritate it more, having a hamstring injury? Something as fragile as that? No,
what, Koscielny, you mean?
Yeah.
It's not hamstring, is it? It's Achilles tendon.
I mean, it's the other two left backs.
That's not quite.
In general, would it be better for him if he went and played football in a warm climate?
No, it's nothing to do with that.
I've got no idea.
It'd be better for him to be in a slower league, don't you reckon, Ellis?
Feeder league.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
Wherever
but-
he's not going to be sprinting around or change direction really
Or,
quickly.
or have to go up through the gears quickly. So
Yeah.
probably you're looking at League One or League Two.
To be fair though, like whatever league you're in, he's still going to be stretching himself. It's the professional leagues, isn't it? Like it's
32, 33 for a centre half these days. There's not many of them knocking about in the top echelons, in the top teams. I mean, how old's Ramos? Anybody know?
he must be 30. He must be.
Yeah,
at least.
but apart from I can't. And was who's the one who's married to Shakira at Barcelona? BK. He must be getting on for 30 as well.
Yeah, they must be both in their sort of early 30s.
But they're the only two I can really think of that are of any class at the back.
Ramos is 32.
No, there you go then.
Just looking, Koscielny's played 489 games, club games, and plus he's played another 51 for France, which he's now retired from. And then for it doesn't say where he's youth level for France.
Gerard Piqué's 31 as well, so they're both sort of knocking on the same sort of time frame.
Yeah, I think the problem is in the modern game of football where everything is so linked to athleticism and compressing of spaces, and this sort of like pressing has almost made the game 4D, if that makes sense. Whereas you're looking to press and take space away from people, as well as looking to press to try and nick the ball and open space up. I think that makes it very difficult for a player who's aging, who's got problems with Achilles tendons and hamstrings, because that sort of game requires a lot of athleticism and it requires a lot of sprints and a lot of acceleration through the gears. And those are exactly the things that, ravage people who've got hamstring problems.
Achilles.
And Achilles as well.
But at the end of the day, like you say, it's anything that involves sort of sharp change in movements, accelerating quickly, stretching for balls. Like it's all sort of things that from a modern day footballer. So it's not looking good for Koscielny, really, is it? No,
I mean, I think this is the other issue. I mean, you look at it and say, right, is he a high earner? He's probably not. He's probably on 60 or 70 grand a week. I doubt he's on much more than that.
Koscielny.
Yeah, is he at the moment on form in front of Socrates? Doubtful. Is he going to keep Mustafi at the team for 10 games in a row? Probably not.
He's on 90 grand a week.
All right, and is he getting in the way of Bob Holding? Yeah. Is Mavropanos going to come up with Bob Holding and be the future of the club? Because I don't see that. Koscielny's really got a role to play.
Maybe the role that Lichtsteiner is playing for Bellerin, possibly as a kind of mentor.
But I don't think he's a mentally type strong player. We know he's blubbed in the changing rooms before, and we know he's the weak link. I don't think he is a leader. He's too quiet. I think you look at that team now in the pitch. You watch Lucas Torreira. He's shouting at people. Fuck knows in what language, but he is shouting at people. You've got Xhaka's like starting to build himself up, and you've got. You'll see, you look on the pitch at Socrates all the time. He's talking to Mustafi. He's talking to Leno. He's talking to the players in front of him. And you've got Lichtsteiner, strong players who've been there. People forget Lichtsteiner's the guy that came on against Spurs at Wembley and ruined the cunts. Absolutely fucking ruined them. These are people that, they change the team's mentality. So I don't see Koscielny being anywhere near those people mentally or as leadership. Popular, yes, but I think he was Arsene Wenger's man, and I think that plus injuries plus players that are in front of him being under the Emery system, Emery tutelage, puts him in, as Ellis said, it doesn't put him in a very good position.
Yeah, I'm just thinking of a title for tonight's show before we have a little think about that. Chelsea played in this cup tonight as well, the EFL Trophy. They went to Plymouth and smashed them 5-0. And
we've got to blame the Pirate for that.
Yeah. Oh, they didn't have our player on loan in there for playing in goal for them. That's good. I'm just seeing if they had any first. They did. No names there that I recognise in the Chelsea lineup. So never mind. Right, a little roundup of the players out on loan again from George Bird, who's at arsenalyouth.wordpress.com, or go and follow him on Twitter. That's George with a J. He says Reece Nielsen played the whole game and set up a goal as Hoffenheim beat Stuttgart 4-0. David Ospina played the whole game as Napoli drew 1-1 with Roma. Matt Macey played the whole game and made some impressive saves as Plimsoll goal beat Scunthorpe United 4-1. Apparently he's doing really well there. Christian Bielik started but was withdrawn at half-time as Charlton lost 1-0 to Rochdale. Apparently he's been playing at centre-back and defensive midfielder in there. This is the most pointless loan at the moment. Kalichi was brought on in the 74th minute as Porto B lost 4-2 to Famalicão. What have you put in there, Ellis? Millennium Falcon. What's that for?
Sorry. I was just messing around.
You are.
Is it not like a little thing on your thing flying off into the thing?
No.
A thing on the thing flying off into a thing. Jesus.
On mine, it comes up as a little actual ship flying off into the chat box, but obviously not.
I'm going to try typing it. Oh, no, I can't because Skype cut and paste is wank. Takuma Asano was an unused substitute as Hanover lost 2-1 to AUG. Oh, is it Augsburg?
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. You were quite disappointed I got that right. Augsburg, is that how you say it, Steve?
Yeah, something like that.
Fucking idiot. Get on with it.
Get
Callum Chambers missed out through injury, and I suppose the manager might put in brackets and being shit, as Fulham lost 3-0 to Bournemouth. Brighton, Birmingham, Bournemouth. God's sake.
I don't think it would matter if the Fulham goalkeeper actually bought a load of planks and nailed them across Fulham's goal. They'd still let goals in. Fucking shit in defence.
They are a terrible team. Stevenage won 8-0 a few days ago in the EFL Trophy, beat Stevenage 8-0. That is a very unbalanced competition. So what else have we got to talk about? I think that's it, really. Yes, right. They've got to think of a title for the show, podcast 264.
Can I just say before we go that if you are a parent in the UK and you want to take your kids to watch Arsenal, and Premier League matches, I understand they're very expensive. But as Geoff was saying earlier, do try to take your kids to the Carabao Cup games, because they're only a tenner for adults and a fiver for the kids. But if you can't get along to them, check out the Arsenal ladies. Women's football's got a lot more of a family atmosphere. There's less aggression. There's a lot of chanting and singing, a lot of fun.
And there's goals.
Goals galore. And the players on the pitch don't think, that they're not giving it their all. Arsenal ladies are a brilliant team. So check out, Arsenal ladies on Twitter. You can see where their fixtures are and where they're playing, and maybe you can go online and buy a few of their tickets. Sometimes it's like £6 for adults and a couple of quid for the kids, but it's a great afternoon out. My daughter's like so impressed by watching Arsenal ladies that she now wants to go and watch Polish ladies international football team, and I'm going to be taking her later on this year. So it just shows you can get the kids into supporting Arsenal by hook or by crook.
Yes, I agree with that. What are we going to call the show?
Don't bully me, you Welsh fucker.
Oh dear, don't annoy him, for fuck's sake. He hasn't got a sense of humour at the moment.
The long roast.
It's not the Game of Thrones. What have we talked about? We talked about goalkeepers and left backs. And
the centre half memorandum.
I don't think most people go, what's a memorandum? They just think it's probably some part of Portugal. Come on, Ellis.
I don't know. I'm not good at this on the fly thinking stuff.
No.
Centre back me up, baby.
Oh, Jesus. Do you know what I have to deal with people? Good God. No, Ellis, you're saying too much. Right, we're going to go now. And I'll think
Millennium
Falcon.
Falcon.
Think of a title. Shut your face. I'm going to think of a title later.
Stay on your feet, you cunt. Yeah. As in Mustafi.
Yes. Right, gents. Thank you very much for that. I'm going to go now.
Yes.
You got anything witty to say, Ellis or Steve, before I go?
No.
Oh, there you go.
I'm actually debating whether I should have another sandwich or not, really. Fuck. So I was saying to John the other day.
Still recording?
So, state of affairs, it's got to. Saturday night, and I'm sitting here watching some repeater minder from 40 years ago on the telly.
I love those, looking at the old cars.
Yeah, no, but watching all the old streets in London, I'm sitting there thinking, oh, that so-and-so road, Notting Hill Gate, that house has cost £10 million now. But nobody wanted to live in it in the 1970s because it was a slum and that cunt Rackman owned it. And I was talking to John about something, and John's going, well, hurry up, because I've got to go out. He's to go out and interfere with some barmaids. And I said to him, it's the right state of affairs, and it's Saturday night, and I'm sitting there thinking about having a sandwich. And I said, 18 months ago, I was down the pub sticking like 10 pints down my neck. It's all gone horribly, horribly wrong.
I've not been to a pub for, 15 years, maybe more than that. I wouldn't go if you tried to pay me. You'd try to drag me there, I'd bite you and tell you to leave me alone. I'll stay here with my cats and watch telly. On that happy note, I'm going to end the podcast. Thank you very much for listening, people. This has been a Bergkamp Wonderland, dribbling on about something for half an hour that should have taken 5 minutes. And we will see you tomorrow, and then again on Saturday, and then again sometime after that. Goodbye. Yeah. Hoi, hoi, cheeky monkeys. And here's a little bit of shenanigans from before the podcast started.
Is there a running order or something? What are we running with?
There is. I'm going to go... actually, if I cut and paste it all in, just so you can have a little, everyone see the chat box.
Hold on.
I've got it open. I don't see anything in it.
Hold on.
What are you typing?
Hold on. What have I done here? What have I done here? What have I done? Oh, there's a chat box there.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's just the rough gist of it.
I can't see it.
Still says you're typing.
Does it?
Yeah.
It's a fucking chat box. I can't see it either.
Geoff is typing now as well.
Yeah. See if it's working.
Geoff
What's
put
he
crack
done
on.
with no,
Yours ain't gone in there.
There you go.
Oh, here we
There
go.
we go.
It was in the wrong part.
Well, you wrote a book, Danny.
Hey.
Lineup.
You can see there's a slight tab across. It goes lineups, then Xhaka at left back, and that's slightly tabbed across. So when they're in the same.
Yeah.
Teo Vast really needs to fuck off, constantly interrupting what I'm doing.
Where's the fuck? Ah, there it is.
There's no updates need doing. Good. Right. So that is now at 15. So we'll start with that. Everyone jump in whenever you want. And that's just a rough running order, just so we know roughly what we're going to talk about. You know the drill. All right, we're starting 3, 2, 1. I forgot how I start this. Hello. Oh, I remember. I've been too busy shitting. It's sent me mad. All right, 3, 2, 1. Hello and welcome.